The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages, and Oracle of Seasons are two great handheld games that carry on the traditional Zelda style. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening was a surprise hit for the Game Boy in 1993, but other than a color re-release in 1998, Nintendo largely abandoned the classic two-dimensional Zelda games in favor of cutting-edge 3D games on the Nintendo 64. During the late 1990s, game companies like Nintendo were not interested in developing good 2D games for their flagship consoles. So while Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are incredible games, fans of classic Zelda would have to wait until 2001 for a new game, and we almost got an old one instead. The idea that would become the Oracle games was an innocent one. Yoshiki Akamoto, the head of a Japanese game development studio called Flagship, proposed remaking the original Legend of Zelda on the Game Boy Color. The original Legend of Zelda had been released in Japan for the Famicom Disk System in 1986, so 2001 marked the 25th anniversary of the franchise. A remake would be the perfect way to celebrate this milestone and cash in on some Zelda nostalgia. But on the other hand, in the past, allowing other companies to work on the Zelda franchise had ended in disaster. Flagship wasn't really a household name, but they were a subsidiary of Capcom, a publisher that had a great relationship with Nintendo. And Flagship had a solid resume. They had just finished Resident Evil 2 in 1998, and they would go on to make Resident Evil 4 in 2005. Ultimately, Nintendo decided that a remake was a good idea, and they gave Flagship the green light. You may think that remaking a 25-year-old video game would be easy, but that was not the case here. The rooms from the NES game did not fit neatly onto the Game Boy Color's smaller screen. This can make it easy to miss doorways or other clues located on the left or right edge of the screen. There were also concerns that the original Legend of Zelda would be too difficult and frustrating for new players in 2001, but making the game easier would alienate returning fans. Allegedly, Okamoto expressed these concerns to Shigeru Miyamoto himself, and after a conversation, the remake idea was mostly abandoned, and instead, Flagship would create 3 new interconnected games, one for each of the 3 virtues symbolized by the Triforce: power, wisdom, and courage. The remake idea wasn't completely scrapped. Many ideas and bosses from the original Legend of Zelda appear in Oracle of Seasons. Seasons was intended to be the first game in the series, with each sequel released 4 to 5 months after the previous entry. Eventually, it was decided that integrating 3 games together was just too complicated, so the 3rd game got cut. Staggering the release of the remaining 2 games presented a new problem. The Game Boy Advance was being released in 2001, and these games were being developed for the previous generation of hardware. Once a lot of people owned a Game Boy Advance, there would be decreased demand for new games on the Game Boy Color, so Flagship decided to release both games simultaneously. This was a bit of a gamble. Would people buy both games, or would sales of one game steal away sales from the other? Releasing 2 games at once had worked for Pokémon, but would the same hold true for Zelda? The answer was a resounding yes. Each game sold almost 4 million copies each. Players were hungry for new adventures in the classic style, and the interconnected features were enough to get fans to purchase both games. Both games were showered with praise from critics, with them appearing on numerous lists for the best handheld games of the year. The two games can be played in any order, and you'll be given a password at the end of the first game, which will enable extra content in the second, including an all-new final boss encounter that ties the two games together. There are also 64 rings to collect between the two games, a handful of which are exclusive to each one. So which of the two games is better? It's really hard to say. Seasons is more focused on action and features lots of nostalgic elements that fans of the NES original will appreciate. Ages has a much better story, and its time-traveling mechanics will be appealing to fans of A Link to the Past. The success of the Oracle games opened the door for more games in the classic Zelda style, and Flagship released another game, The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, for the Game Boy Advance in 2004. In modern times, players and critics still enjoy these newer additions to the traditional Zelda series. When Nintendo Life released their list of the top 50 Game Boy Color games of all time, they ranked Oracle of Seasons at number 3 and Oracle of Ages at number 2. If you'd like to play these games on a modern platform, as of this recording, they are two of the Game Boy games included with the Switch's online service. Modern players that attempt these games will still have to deal with all of the challenges retro games are notorious for. Many of the puzzles are confusing, and if you don't know what to do, you could end up wandering aimlessly for hours. The enemies are vicious, and many of the bosses are quite challenging. Make one too many mistakes, and it'll be game over. But what if I told you how to find every item and upgrade, and how to solve every mind-bending puzzle? What if I showed you secret glitches and shortcuts that will allow you to skip huge chunks of these games? And what if I showed you the best way to defeat every boss? Even the special one at the end of a linked game? Well, in this episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. And please join our Patreon for access to an exclusive Discord community and a chance to vote on future episodes. These games were suggested and voted on by members of our Patreon community. Let's get started. All right. The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages. This guide is going to cover both Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, but we're going to start with Ages. Why should you play Ages first? Well, whichever game you play second is going to be a little bit easier, at least as far as combat is concerned, because of the rings that you'll be able to carry over from the first game and the advantages that you'll get from the linked game bonuses. Oracle of Seasons was designed with a focus on combat, so it makes sense to want to have those advantages in that game. On the other hand, if you start with seasons, you'll be able to find the red ring, which is an exclusive ring that you can only find in that game. You're able to carry over your ring collection into your linked game, so if you bring the red ring over into Ages, it will be very powerful here. So whichever way you want to go, you can't go wrong. Start with Ages, start with Seasons, it's up to you. So as the opening cutscene comes to an end and the title flashes up onto the screen, it's time to begin our quest. You'll notice as we start up a new game that there's an option for secrets, and that's what you'll want to choose if you have a password from an Oracle of Seasons game that you would like to use. So while we are starting a new game from scratch, I also captured footage from a linked game playthrough, so anytime there's bonus content, I'll be showing that too. As the game begins, our hero literally falls out of the sky into a grassy clearing. As the story goes, the Triforce sent us here, presumably because someone needed a hero. It just so happens that only a couple screens away from where we landed, there's a woman being harassed by some Octoroks. They flee whenever we get close, and she turns out to be Impa. Impa is a character that was mentioned in the instruction manual for the original Legend of Zelda, and I always thought she was some kind of little old lady. I had no idea that she was actually 8 feet tall and had a blue face. There are some talking monkeys over here, nothing weird about that, and the one with a red face says that more animals are coming soon. But we won't have time to think about that for very long, because when we head over here, Impa gets very excited about this rock with a strange Triforce symbol on it. Impa desperately wants us to move this rock, and although she appears to be built for the WNBA, she can't seem to do it herself. Nothing suspicious about this. Yeah, I'll move that rock, no problem. The rock slides out of the way easily, and although I have this nagging feeling that it was there for a reason, we head onward. As we come to this small clearing, we find a handful of talking animals and a couple people listening to a woman sing. Once we've talked to all of the characters in this outer ring, the red bear will move out of the way and we'll be able to get a better view. The singer's name is Nehru, and according to her fans around here, she's the best singer in Labrynna. Isn't it enchanting? It sure looks like Link is enjoying this show. Hey Link, my eyes are up here, buddy. And then we meet this guy, Ralph. Ralph is a real piece of work. He says that a bird came by and told him we were coming, and he also says, "We're counting on you." Well, he says that before Nehru pays Link any attention, then he suddenly jumps into overprotective mode. Just 5 seconds ago, Ralph was all, "We're counting on you," and now he has everything under control. I mean, maybe he saw the way Link was looking at Nehru in that cutscene. In any case, it seems that this is normal behavior for him, but Nehru does sense that something evil is very close by. So maybe we should have been able to see this coming, but the reason Impa was unable to move that enchanted rock earlier is because she's possessed by an evil sorceress named Varen. And yeah, those animals are like, "We are getting out of here." Varen does a little dance to demonstrate her powers, and although she's a very talented shapeshifter, her most powerful spell is the Imperious Curse. She reminds everybody about how she tricked us into moving that rock and breaking the sacred barrier, and then she announces exactly what she plans to do. She wants to take over the body of Nehru because Nehru is something called the Oracle of Ages. She has powerful abilities that allow her to travel through time. This is not good. I was hoping that Varen maybe just wanted to possess Nehru so that she could land a lucrative record deal, but this is much, much worse. Ralph draws a sword, and maybe we should have brought one of those. It is really dangerous to go alone in this kind of game. Of course, a sword is not the best solution here. As Varen is happy to point out, if Ralph attacks her, he will be hurting Nehru, not Varen. Varen uses her new time magic powers to manifest a time portal, and then after a quip about beginning a new era of darkness, she disappears into it. And that's when the bad stuff really starts happening. Because of all the chaos Varen is causing in the past, terrible effects are felt here in the present. Lightning rains down from the sky, young people turn into old people, animals turn to stone and then disappear, and some people just turn to stone. The effects are very inconsistent, but they are consistently bad. Luckily, it seems to only be a few isolated incidents right now, but the longer Varen remains in the past, the worse it's going to get. Ralph can't help but place the blame on us for moving that stone out of the way, but whatever, Ralph. Did you know that Impa was possessed by an evil sorceress? Yeah, I didn't think so. Like, come on now. That one rock was the only defense you had against evil? You don't think that Varen wouldn't have found somebody sooner or later that could have moved it out of the way? In any case, Ralph, being the hot-headed maniac that he is, runs off as Impa awakens. Impa had sensed a threat to the Oracle of Ages, so she came to Labrynna in hopes of bringing Nehru back to Hyrule. Instead, she was possessed by Varen, and in her exact words, she was forced to do her will in spite of herself. Impa really buries the lead there. What did she make you do, Impa? Was it just crime-type stuff? Or was it something a little bit weirder? I definitely have questions. It probably doesn't help that Impa is willing to trust us just because we have a triangle tattooed on our left hand. I mean, that's something that you can have done in a couple hours. But she hands over the wooden sword that Zelda herself entrusted her with and asks us to meet the Maku tree in Lynna village. So that's going to be our first quest, but before we get to that, let's talk for a moment about how this intro is different if you're playing a linked game. To start up a linked game, choose the secret option and input the password you got at the end of Oracle of Seasons. The game starts up right away with a new cutscene. This scene features the twin Rova, a pair of villains that we would have met back in Seasons. They're sort of recapping the previous game and talking about the big bad from Seasons, General Onyx. I want you to notice that they do refer to him as Onyx here, which is his proper name, because later in the game they'll start calling him Nox, and I have no idea where that comes from. If you take a look in the upper right corner, you'll notice that we start with 4 heart containers instead of just 3, and Impa's text is a little bit different here because she recognizes us from the other game. We should also recognize her, and we should probably know that she's not supposed to have a blue face. Impa apologizes for asking us to rescue yet another Oracle, but hey, that's just what heroes are for. This time Impa gives us the shield instead of the sword, and I guess that's nice. A wooden shield would have cost us a whole 10 rupees, so thanks for the savings. But aren't we going to need the sword? We are definitely going to need the sword. Luckily, it's in our inventory already, so just pause and equip it and be on your way. That's all the linked game stuff I have for now, so let's go back to our normal game. Now that we have the sword, we'll be able to cut through bushes, and we'll need to be able to cut through this bush to enter Lynna City. Lynna City is the main hub in this game, and we'll be coming back here frequently. There's a small shop in town, and you're not able to just steal stuff in this game, so if you want to purchase any items, you'll have to spend money. Don't worry about buying the shield right now, we'll be able to buy one for a lower price later. Instead, let's just wander around the town and see what the people are up to. This woman tells us about the tower being built on the other side of the river, but considering the tower's being built 400 years in the past, you'd think it would be finished already. This guy tells us a bad joke, and we'll want to remember this guy if we find any funny items. This woman's grandson has been turned to stone. That is tough. There's nothing to be found in this little house, just a sad reminder of what the stakes are in this game. This small hut contains the know-it-all birds. These birds are essentially a tutorial, and if you take the time to talk to all of them, you'll learn a lot about playing the game. Most of the things they have to say are pretty basic, but some of them are good reminders, like if you hold down the sword, you can charge it up for a spinning attack. The birds will also tell you that pressing select will bring up the map, and more of the map will be revealed as you explore. Pressing start brings up your inventory, and pressing select while in the inventory will toggle between some subscreens, including the one where you can save the game. Down here across the bridge, we'll find the home of Mamamoo Yan, who claims to be the top breeder in town. Notice how she didn't say of dogs. She tells us that her dog is very shy, and she's looking for a good way to hide its face. That is a very strange request, but we'll keep it in mind as we explore. The left side of town is blocked by a large rock, and if we head down here, we'll find the entrance to that mysterious tower that the woman in town was talking about. Unfortunately, that entrance is blocked. We can only enter the Black Tower in the past, so we'll need the ability to time travel before we can go in there. Let's go back to the city for now. In the upper left corner, we'll find the home of a man named Troy. Troy is an old man who says he's seen many animals, and he wants us to know about a particularly vicious one that can eat shields. I think he's talking about like-likes, and yeah, Troy, we've seen like-likes before. Those are very annoying. To the right of Troy's house, we'll find the home of Bippin the Arborist. Bippin and his wife Blossom just had a baby, and they can't come up with a name, so they've decided to let a stranger that they just met name it. We're going to name the baby Kylo because that's my dog's name, but based on the names I've given this kid when playing through this game in the past, I have to say that asking a random guy that just barged in through your front door to name your baby is a terrible, terrible idea. If we come back here later in the game, we'll find that the child has been rapidly aging, and we'll have another opportunity to make some decisions that will change its life. But that's not all. This small family will follow us into Oracle of Seasons, where we'll be able to see little Kylo grow up even more. So this is a story that persists beyond this first game and into the second one. Plen is the mayor here in Lynna, and inside of his house we'll see a mysterious treasure chest that we won't be able to collect until much later in the game. To the right of the mayor's house is a building with a large ring on the top of it. This is Vasu's Jewelers. Vasu is a character that appears in both Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, and his little jewelry shop is how you'll be able to transfer your ring collection from one game to the other. If it's your first time in the shop, Vasu will give you a ring box, which is something that you'll need to be able to equip rings. There are 64 different rings to find between the two games, and most of them only have a minor effect on gameplay, but there are a few that are very powerful. The one that it gives us for free, the Friendship Ring, is not one of the powerful ones. This ring doesn't really do anything at all. It's just sort of a trinket that reminds us that we met Vasu. Eventually we'll find some better rings, but we'll have to come back here to Vasu to get them appraised before we'll be able to use them. We'll also have to select them from Vasu's list so that they'll be in our ring box, and once a ring is in the ring box, we can finally equip it. You can only equip one ring at a time, even if you have a larger ring box. Once you've finished exploring the town, make your way to the upper right corner where you'll find this cave, the Maku Path. The Maku Path here in the present time is not very dangerous. Any of the pits have been walled off with posts, and you'll simply have to walk straight up to find the stairs that lead to the tree. The Maku tree is a lot like the Great Deku tree from the Ocarina of Time, but I guess it's like a slightly different species. This tree can talk, and she tells us that we need to stop Varen. Well, thanks a lot, wise old tree, but we kinda knew that already. It does seem like the Maku tree had something else to tell us, but then it starts changing colors. It fades from red to green to blue and back again, and then with a bright flash of white light, the tree fades from existence. Something must have happened to the Maku tree in the past. Luckily, there's a conveniently located time portal just over here to the right. Before we can enter it, we run into Ralph again, and Ralph, being reckless as usual, runs into the portal ahead of us. We really have no choice but to follow. Well, would you look at that? This old time travel thing actually worked! Can someone point me in the direction of where I can buy Apple stock or some bitcoins? Before we get into any get-rich-quick type schemes, we need to consider the butterfly effect. We're 400 years in the past right now, so anything that we do could have serious consequences in the future, and we've already seen evidence of that. Lightning rained down from the sky, people turned to stone, some of them even disappeared, so we should— oh no, Link, no! No, what are you doing? Well, I guess so much for that. In all seriousness, there are some things that we can do here in the past that will affect the present time, but for the most part, hacking and slashing doesn't seem to have any consequences, so feel free to go nuts. We need to get to the Maku tree, but the way is blocked by some dirt. This man tells us that we'll need a shovel to clear a path, but I think we could have made do with that pickaxe that he has. Whatever. If we head down here, this guy tells us that most of the tools in town are being used for construction on the Black Tower, so maybe that's where we can get a shovel. This woman tells us that the queen in this area used to be very kind until recently. And if you swing your sword at this tree, it winces in pain. Yeah, there's talking trees all over the place in this world. This old woman tells us that there's been no night for many days, as if time has stopped. So that sounds pretty bad. And if we head down here to the bottom, we can meet a strange character named Rafton. Rafton's big dream is to be able to build a seaworthy raft. Really reaching for the stars there. But he's unable to do so at the moment, so we'll have to visit him again later. Over here on the left, we'll find a dead end, so we won't be able to go that way right now, and instead we'll have to make our way up and around. Back here in town, we'll meet a woman who tells us that Queen Ambi used to have a boyfriend, but one day he set sail and never came back, which I have to admit is a savage way to break up with someone. In this small house over to the right, we'll meet the local postman. This guy has a whole pile of mail that needs to be delivered, but because he doesn't know what time it is, he's unable to do his job, which seems like a completely valid excuse, no further questions. The sign says the palace is up this way, but the guards won't let us in. They tell us that the queen is busy, but they also say if we were to bring with us a rare item, they might just change their minds. If we head over here to the left, we'll find an arborist that really dislikes Gasha seeds. This guy hates Gasha seeds so much that he gives us one for free, and if you're wondering what a Gasha seed is, well, it's the primary way that we're going to find rings. You'll need to find a patch of soft soil, and you'll be given an opportunity to plant your seed. After killing 30 enemies, you'll come back and you'll find a tree with a nut that you can harvest. And this, yes, this is the toilet. The hand that's coming out of the hole in the ground needs toilet paper, and it's been down there so long that it's not being picky. Any paper will do. The emo kid that inhabits this house likes to sit in darkness and is hoping to someday hear a funny joke. We'll remember him if we hear anything good. If we head over to where Mamoru Yan's house is in the future, we can meet with Adler, who used to be a palace advisor. He has some insight into what's going on with Queen Ambi. Adler claims to have retired from service to the Queen, but it doesn't sound like he had much of a choice. He says that the Queen changed whenever Nehru showed up, and well, it's as we suspected. Varen is to blame. So Varen is manipulating the Queen into building this black tower because reasons? It sure seems like one of those step 1 build tower, step 2, step 3 profit kind of schemes. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the real tragedy is for the people building the tower. These people have been working for days on end without any breaks, and from the looks of this cutscene, they only have like 1 floor completed. They have so much more to do. I'm not exactly sure why we have to stop time until the tower is completed. I don't think the people are going to build it any faster if they're extremely tired. Maybe, like, let them sleep for a couple hours and then have them come back? Let's be real here for a minute. Would you trust the structural integrity of a tower that was built by workers that had gone for over 100 hours without sleep? I know I wouldn't. This guy's son is home alone. I sure hope that kid knows how to make Pop-Tarts. This guy's wondering if they sent child laborers here to work on the construction site. And this man with the pickaxe says that the Queen is asking them to do the impossible. I can kinda see what the problem is though. It seems like most of the people here are just pickaxing the same spot on the ground while a bunch of other people just kind of wander about and look on. I don't think that's how buildings get built. Nobody's placing bricks, nobody's mixing concrete, I don't see scaffolding anywhere. I have no idea how they're gonna build a tower this way. I also like how the people standing around all have helmets on, while the people actually doing the work aren't wearing any protective items. OSHA is definitely going to shut this operation down. Over on the left side, we'll be blocked from going any farther because nothing beyond this point has been completed. Yeah, I definitely don't want to go in any incomplete areas of the tower, so we'll head back the way that we came. The guy we're actually looking for is this one. If you talk to him, he'll give you the shovel. The shovel is a mandatory item that we'll use to move clumps of dirt out of the way, but it can do so much more than that. Use it right here to clear out the dirt that's blocking the way back to the entrance of the tower, and once we get outside, we'll be able to use the shovel again to find our first piece of heart. The maximum number of heart containers you can have is 14, and if you're playing a linked game, it's very easy to get up to 14 heart containers, but if you're on your first playthrough, you'll need to find all of the pieces if you want to reach the max. Another thing you can do with the shovel is just dig around in random places. You'll often find rupees, and you can even find a big rupee that's worth 100. You'll also occasionally find hearts or fairies, and sometimes you'll find enemies. Watch out for those. If you ever need to come up with a bunch of money in this game, one of the fastest ways to get it is to just start digging. With the shovel in our possession, we'll be able to make our way to the upper right corner of town, where we can clear away the dirt that was blocking the Maku Path. Inside, we'll find a different version of the Maku Path, and this one's a little bit more dangerous. Push the block up to open the door, and then push this block to the right to get through this M-shaped formation. From here, we need to go to the right. We don't have a key, so we won't be able to open the door to the left until we get one. In this room, use your sword to kill all of the gels. Once they're defeated, the door will open. In here, we need to push the block and then carefully navigate around the pits. If you fall into one of the pits, you'll take a small bit of damage and go back to the door. In some ways, this can be used as a shortcut. Press the button at the top of the room to make a chest spawn, and when we open the chest, we'll find our first small key. Just like in other Zelda games, each small key can only be used once, and it can only be used in this dungeon. Head back to the room with the M-shaped formation of blocks, and this time we're going to go through the locked door on the left side. If you want to look at the map, you can press select. Once you're through this door, you'll see two W-shaped formations of blocks, and on the left there's a button, but if you push the blocks over here on the right side, you can find a hidden stairway with 30 rupees at the bottom. Not bad. Once you've collected the cash, go back upstairs, and you'll need to push a few blocks out of your way so that you can get back to the left side. So we'll push that one down and this one to the right, and then over here we'll just push these blocks aside, step on the button, and the door will open. In here we'll need to clear a couple of Staphos, and then if we push these blocks like so, we'll be able to grab our second piece of heart. Nice. Anytime you pick up a piece of heart, it will completely refill your health, even if it doesn't grant you a new heart container. Push the block near the door to open it up, and that will bring you to the end of the Maku Path. Head up the stairs to meet a younger version of the Maku tree. Conveniently, we've arrived just in time to stop two moblins that were about to do a murder on this tree. It was really nice of these moblins to wait for us while we were wandering around the village. Quickly dispatch them with your sword, and the Maku tree will be just so happy. She is beaming. Look at those eyes. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, though, but perhaps this wasn't the event that made the tree disappear at all. There's 400 years of history between now and then. Anything could have happened. The tree opens the gate for us, which seems like a terrible idea. Now even more monsters can get in here. But she promises to reward us whenever she grows up. And before we leave, she says, "When I grow up, I'm going to be your bride." Yeah, that is super weird, Maku Tree. But luckily, it's going to be 400 years before we see her again, so she'll probably have forgotten all about it. Before we head back to the present, let's take a look at this mini-game that you can play in town. It only costs 10 rupees to play, and it's very easy to at least win a Gacha seed, and you could potentially win a ring. The Light Ring level 2 can only be obtained through this game, but unfortunately, the ring that you get is random, so you will probably have to win this game several times before you get that light ring. Let's talk about the easy strategy first. You're going to be pitched 10 balls, and you'll gain points for hitting blue blocks or the angel, but you'll lose points for hitting purple blocks or the imp. The good news is you can never have a negative total score, so until you have some points on the board, you can't actually lose any. So use the first few pitches to align yourself. If you position Link between these two blocks, turn him sideways and rapidly swing your sword, you should always hit the two blocks in the center. You lose 50 points if you miss the ball entirely, so if the two blocks in the center are undesirable, just turn Link downward and try to hit the ball towards the bottom. You definitely want to hit the fairy whenever it appears in the center, so make sure you're in the right position whenever it appears. That's how you get the most points. You'll get a positive 20 points for a blue block and a purple block. You'll get 60 points for 2 blue blocks and 130 points for a blue block and a fairy. You want to swing down if you see 2 purple blocks or an imp with any regular block, like this one. Using this basic strategy, it's very easy to turn in scores that will get you decent items, but if you want to get 350 points so that you can win a ring, you'll have to do something a little bit trickier. This is going to sound a little bit obvious, but the key to getting a high score is hitting the fairies. If the fairy is not in the center, you'll need to move slightly left or slightly right to try to hit it, although don't miss it whenever it does appear in the center. It'll always appear there at least once. You don't have to score on every pitch, so if you see multiple imps in your way, you may just want to hit the ball downwards. Try to only hit blue cubes and fairies if possible. If you hit just a single blue cube, that's worth more points than hitting a blue and a purple. If you ever get 350 points or more, that's all you need to win the ring, so you can hit the remaining balls downward to reduce your risk of losing points. There's no real reason to score more than 350 points, other than just trying to see how many are possible. I want to reiterate that this is the only place where you can get the Light Ring level 2. It cannot be found elsewhere in this game, and it can't be found in Oracle of Seasons either, so if you want one, you may have to farm this game multiple times. The other 3 rings are easier to get. Speaking of rings, this store is exclusive to the Game Boy Advance. The door to this shop would be locked if we were playing on a regular Game Boy Color, and for 100 rupees you can buy a Game Boy Advance exclusive ring, which actually does nothing. So, if you don't have the money right now, it's not that big of a deal. Use the time tile in front of the Maku tree to warp back to the present, and yes, it seems that the Maku tree is completely fine now, and yeah, she's been waiting for us. Then she says, "You promised, when I grow up, I'll marry you. That's what you said." But we definitely didn't say that, Maku tree. You can't gaslight us. It may have been 400 years for you, but it's been like 5 minutes for us. The tree seems a bit embarrassed and abruptly changes the subject, but maybe I'm being a little too quick to dismiss her. Her love hasn't wavered in over 400 years, and she is certainly a well-respected part of the community. You know what, Maku Tree? I don't know about rushing right into marriage, but if you can explain how an elfin boy like me and a talking plant like you can have a fulfilling, intimate relationship, I'm willing to give it a shot. And with that, our new girlfriend explains the game's quest. We'll need to find the 8 essences to be able to defeat Varen, and each essence holds a memory that the Maku Tree has lost. Whenever we find an essence, it will unlock different events in the game, which will allow us to progress farther. Before we go, she has a gift for us, the Seed Satchel and Ember Seeds. And what do you use Ember Seeds for? Oh, lighting up dark places and burning small trees? Hi, I'm a talking tree. Here's a bag full of Molotov cocktails that are just perfect for starting forest fires. Maybe she's just hoping to wipe out her competition? Well, in any case, inside the tree we'll meet Furore, the Oracle of Secrets. She's not very important unless you're playing a linked game, in which case this is where you'll need to come whenever you find a password in Oracle of Seasons that will unlock an upgrade here. Outside in the top of the tree, you won't find anything good just yet, but after we complete a few dungeons, some new caves will open up here where you'll be able to find supplies, like seeds to refill your seed satchel, bombs, that sort of thing, and you'll also find an occasional Gasha seed, so make sure to come back there frequently. Just down from the Maku Tree, we'll find our first sapling that we can incinerate with our Ember Seeds. Burn that thing alive and you'll find 30 rupees on the other side. Nice! We can use some of that money to appraise the ring that we got at the target game. Hopefully it'll be the light ring level 2, but nope. This time it's the red luck ring. Well, you can't win them all. Of course, the light ring level 2 doesn't really do anything until we get the sword upgrade, so actually this ring that prevents some damage from spiked floors is probably better than nothing. Make sure to equip your ring or it won't have any effect. Of course, unless we happen to walk over some spiked floors, this one's not going to do too much. This young boy with no nose tells us that there's a weird guy by the sea who is floating in the air, which is certainly a bit disturbing. We need to go to the graveyard though, so we'll worry about local weirdos later. Make your way over to where this sapling is and burn it with your Ember Seeds. On the other side, you'll need to fry another harmless tree, and that will take you into the graveyard itself. We can't do anything in that upper left corner right now, so make your way to the right and then down, and then back over to the left where you'll see this small gang of children. These kids are afraid of some kind of ghost, but more importantly, they mention a hidden grave beneath a tree, so we'll need to be on the lookout for more small trees that we can burn with our seeds. After they run away, you'll notice that there's a plot of soft soil where you can place a Gasha seed, and if you have one, you should definitely plant it now. The Gasha seed won't grow into a tree until we kill 30 enemies, and because we're going to be doing a dungeon soon, we should be able to get it growing quickly. And here's that grave that those kids mentioned. They said it was dark inside, although you can faintly see the ground without lighting the torch. However, you need to light both torches anyways to get the key. Once you light the torches, the graveyard key will fall from the sky. Pick it up and try to avoid falling into the pits. In typical Zelda fashion, many of the dungeons in this game will require that we find a special key to unlock them. So make your way past that friendly looking ghost and head up here to a locked gate where we'll be able to use that graveyard key. On the other side of the gate, we'll see a small hut surrounded by water that you won't be able to get to just yet, so we're just going to head down to the bottom where we'll find the dungeon's entrance. If you need some more Ember Seeds, hit the bushes in the upper right corner of this screen, and just keep working your way down to this bridge where we'll find the entrance to the Spirit's Grave. In the entryway for level 1, you could go to the left, but the way we need to go is to the right. In this room, clear out the gel enemies. If you hit them with a single sword slash, they'll split into 2 smaller enemies, but if you charge up and hit them with the full-powered spin attack, you can kill them in a single shot. Then just loop back down to the upper ledge where you'll find the dungeon map. The dungeon map is not a mandatory item, but it's nice to have. You can press select and see which rooms you haven't been to yet. Even if you don't have the map, you can press select to see the rooms that you've already been to. In this room, push the cube straight up onto the black tile, which will make the flames turn blue and open the door to the right. We'll definitely be seeing some more complicated cube puzzles in later dungeons. In this room, you'll need to clear the enemy to get a key. So take out that Jenny and a key will drop from the sky. Grab it and head to the left. The block in the center of this room can be pushed, so push it to the left and then unlock the key door at the top of the room. But then go back inside and push the block down so that you can grab this compass over on the left. But that's not all. Use an Ember Seed on the left wall to open up a hidden room. Inside, clear out the snake enemies, called ropes, and you'll be able to push this button, which will make a chest appear. Open up the chest to find a hidden ring. You'll still have to get it appraised, but this ring is not random. That's the power ring level 1, which makes your sword deal more damage, but you'll also take more damage from enemies. That tone is the compass signaling us that there's a key in this room, and we can easily push aside a block to find one in this chest. So make sure to grab that, and then make your way to the left. This room has a simple block pushing puzzle. Just push this block closest to the wall down, and then push the one that was next to it to the left. That will open up a path so that you can walk around. Make your way up to the top, and skip the first top exit so that you can go to the right and take this door. This room, of course, contains a key. Push the center block up, push a block to the left and another one up, and you'll need to hit the button on both sides, so there's one on the left and another one on the right. It doesn't matter which order you press them in, one of them makes the chest appear, the other one makes a platform appear so that we'll be able to collect it. Walk onto the platform and then walk up to the chest to get the key. Now we're going to go back the way that we came, and we're going to head over to the left and take that exit at the top of the screen that we skipped over previously. We can find a hidden Gasha seed in this room. All we need to do is ride this platform up, push this block over to the right, and you'll see a button in the upper right corner. Simply touch it to make a chest appear, and when we open the chest, we'll find a Gasha seed. So that is certainly not a mandatory item, but it will be helpful if you're interested in getting more rings. Head up to this ledge and drop down onto the moving platform, and then go through the doorway on the left. We're going to slash some bushes, open up this locked door, and it's time to face a mini-boss. As soon as the battle begins, take one step down and to the right and quickly swing your sword to get rid of the 3 smaller ghosts. Then focus your attention on the giant Jenny itself. Rapidly slash at the boss, and if it spawns more smaller ghosts, try to clear them as you keep up the pressure. It shouldn't take too long to defeat this guy. Once the boss is gone, the door on the left will open, and you can head on through. We still have a small key left over, and we'll need it in the lower left corner. And in this room, you want to push the 2 blocks on the outside first, and then you can push the one in the center to the left. That will open the way to this room, and you can't get through that row of pots just yet, so head up on the right side. There's a pair of lanterns in this room that we need to light with our Ember Seeds. Light both of them and a stairway will appear, and down below we'll find this dungeon's item, the Power Bracelet. As is Zelda tradition, each of the 8 dungeons has an item that you'll need to find, and the Power Bracelet that we found here will allow us to lift up clay pots and other objects like rocks. You'll need to equip the Power Bracelet as an item to use it, and when you pick up these clay pots, some of them will spawn items. You also don't have to pick the pots up, you can just push them. That's another ability that the Power Bracelet grants you. If you pick up a pot, there's no way to put it back down without breaking it, so pushing pots will be essential for solving some puzzles. Grab a ring from the chest, and in this room we'll need to push this pot 2 spaces over to the right to depress a button, and that will open up this door. This is the room directly to the left of the entrance to the dungeon. If we pick up a pot in front of this chest, we'll be able to find the boss key, a special key that will unlock the room that leads to the boss. We will need to find a boss key in each of the 8 dungeons to be able to reach the boss. Back here in the entryway, we can go into this warp point to return to the room where we fought the mini-boss. And then from there we can head up into this room, and this is where we'll need to use the boss key. Be careful of the wall masters here. If they grab you, they'll take you back to the dungeon's entrance, but if you pick up a pot near the door, you'll be able to find a fairy that can restore your health. The boss here is Pumpkinhead, and you'll want to rapidly slash the body with your sword until it disappears, then pick up the pumpkin with your Power Bracelet. This will reveal the small spirit within, which is the actual boss. If you toss the pumpkin away from the boss, then slash it with your sword, it's possible to pick up the pumpkin again before the boss can get back inside it. If the boss gets back inside the pumpkin, it will reform the body, but if you don't allow that to happen, you'll be able to defeat this guy quite quickly. Once the boss is defeated, you'll be able to pick up a heart container, and in the room behind it, we'll find the Eternal Spirit, our first essence of time. Collecting this essence will unlock events that will allow us to reach level 2, and it will also teleport us back outside the dungeon, where we'll hear the voice of the Maku tree. She says that the next essence is in the western woods, so I guess that's where we'll need to go next. It's probably a good idea to save your game at this point, because as we cross the bridge, we'll probably meet Maple. Maple appears after we've killed 30 enemies, and she only appears on certain squares of the overworld map, like this one. When you bump into her, you'll scatter some of your items and a bunch of hers around on the ground, and if you're fast enough, you'll be able to grab some good stuff. You can get a life potion here, which will refill your health automatically whenever you die. You'll be able to find some random rings, and it's even possible that you can get a heart container piece from Maple if you're very lucky, and fast enough to grab it before she picks it up. Getting the potion this early is nice, but we'll be able to just buy those later in the game for 300 rupees. The most important item that Maple randomly drops is definitely the heart container piece, so be on the lookout for that. To the left of where we met Maple is a friendly ghost that we can help out by picking up the stone in front of him with the Power Bracelet. Once you talk to him, he'll disappear, but then we can push the grave and enter a small cave below. Talk to the ghost again, and he'll say that he's able to finally move on to the afterlife. So what's in it for us? Well, if you go back up the stairs, you'll see the ghost one last time, but this time he has something that he doesn't need anymore. The Poe Clock. The Poe Clock is the first item for the item trading quest, so we'll need to trade it to other characters in the game, and eventually we'll be able to swap enough items to trade up to a brand new sword. Before we leave the graveyard, there's a few more things that we can do. We still can't go to the hut across the water. That is where Syrup lives, and she is the one that can sell us those potions. We're going to head down this way where we'll find our Gosha seed has sprouted into a larger tree, but there's no nut for us to harvest just yet. We'll need to kill a few more enemies. Down here we can use our power bracelet to lift up a rock, and we'll find our third piece of heart. We just need one more to make a full heart container. And after collecting that heart container piece, that's it for the Y'all graveyard. We'll need to come back a little bit later to get the flippers, but for now we can burn the tree to the left and head back to Lynna City. We found 2 rings in the spirit's grave, so we can return to Vasu's jewelry store to get them appraised. Neither of those rings is random. They are both always going to be the same 2 rings. The one we found in the hidden room is the power ring level 1, and the other ring is the discovery ring. This one will make a tone sound whenever you're on a screen where you can plant a Gosha seed. These 2 rings will not spawn randomly, but they're not exclusive to Oracle of Ages. You can also find them hidden in certain chests in Oracle of Seasons. You may recall that over here on the left there was a rock that was blocking our way, but now that we have the power bracelet, we can pick it up and toss it. From here we'll notice there's a sign that says Symmetry City is to the north, and over here to the west is the Fairies Woods. The Maku tree did say that the next essence was hidden in the western woods, so this must be where she meant. And yeah, that looks like a dungeon, but we'll have to walk around to get over there. When we get on this screen, however, we'll meet 3 fairy tricksters who want to play a little game. The fairies are going to hide, and we'll have to find all 3 of them. This sounds easy enough, but the problem is they use some sort of magic to mix up all of the screens in this area. So everything might not be connected as you think. To find them, go right and then down, and you should find this screen where you can slash the lower bush to find your first fairy. From here, go up and left to return to the starting point, then keep going down and up until you see a screen with 2 trees and a rock. You need to pick up the rock with the power bracelet to find the second fairy. The last one is the hardest, you say? I don't know about all that, she's right up here. Once you've found the third fairy, you'll be instantly transported back to the starting point, and now the screens will all be connected properly. With that simple puzzle solved, we just need to head over to the right, where we'll find level 2, the Wing Dungeon. Use your power bracelet to pick up this rock in front of it and... oh no! Yeah, did you really think it would be that easy? No, we're not going to be able to get into level 2 just yet. At this point, we get a telepathic message from the Maku tree who says the rock you blasted was a support stone that held up the cave. Well, I would like you to know that I didn't blast any rocks, I just picked it up. In any case, she tells us that we need to go back to Naru's house, and there's actually a shortcut that we can use to get back there. If we save and quit, whenever we reload the game, we'll come back to the last door that we came through, and that was back at Vasu's jewelry shop. The jewelry shop is actually quite close to Nehru's house, and that's where we need to go. So we can save quite a bit of walking time by just saving and quitting, and when we get to Nehru's house and talk to Impa, she'll tell us that this statue has a draft behind it. Push it out of the way, and down below we'll find the Harp of Ages. As you may expect, the Harp of Ages is a key item in this game that will allow us to travel through time. The way it works is fairly simple. So far, whenever we've time traveled in this game, we've gone through an active time portal, but you'll notice there are numerous dormant time tiles around in the overworld, and if we play the Tune of Echoes when one of those is on the screen, we'll activate the time tile and a time portal will appear. Then we'll simply have to touch that time portal and we'll travel back to the past, or we can do the same thing to return to the present. This early in the game, we only have the Tune of Echoes, but later on we'll learn some new tunes that we can play, and those will give us more freedom to be able to travel through time without the aid of the time tiles. With the harp in our possession, we'll be able to travel back to the past, but first, if you need to refill your health, if you stand up here and push to the right near the top of the bed, eventually you'll take a short nap, which will completely replenish your health. You can do this at any time in the game. After a refreshing nap, we can step outside where we'll receive another message from the Maku tree. The tree is very excited that we found the Harp of Ages and says maybe we can use it to open time portals. Yeah, maybe we can. So we'll open up our inventory and equip it. I suppose that Link must have had some prior musical training because he's able to play the Tune of Echoes flawlessly after only hearing it once. Now that we're back in the past, there's a few things that we need to accomplish before we'll be able to get into level 2, and we can also take care of a couple side quests. Let's get started on the item trading quest. We got the Poe Clock from the ghost in the graveyard, and there's someone in this house that might be interested in it. That's right, it's the mailman. I'm not sure how useful a clock actually is when time has been effectively stopped and we're stuck in a day that lasts forever, but this guy seems pretty excited about it. He also has the audacity to say that he's a workaholic. Yeah, sure you are. In any case, we get a set of stationery for our troubles, and that's the next item that we'll need to trade. Who might need some paper? Well, there may be someone over here at the toilet that needs some, but before we go in there, we can harvest a Gosha nut, and this time we got a random ring. Not bad. This toilet hand has been waiting for a very long time for some paper, and will be quite excited to receive it. So excited that it gives us a stink bag in return. Thanks? Also, if you drop an Ember Seed into the hole, it says, "Ooh, hot." And that's just a little Easter egg, but it actually enables a secret trick that we'll look at later. With the stink bag stuffed deep into our pockets, we can pick up a rock on the left side of town and make our way into the Deku forest. As we wander about the forest, we'll notice that there are several random people hanging around, including this old woman that wants her husband to come back from the Black Tower, and this soldier who wants us to know that Ambi has very powerful bombs, which sounds a bit like a threat. This guy, who refuses to turn around as he talks to us, says that there's a tree in this forest that bears special seeds, and there's level 2, but the entrance is currently sealed and we can't get in just yet. Over on this screen, we'll find a couple more people that just can't wait to talk to us about seeds. Seeds seem to be the hot topic of conversation in these parts, and mystery seeds are the next item that we'll need to find. After we talk to this old man, we'll be able to locate a cave that has a treasure inside in the upper right corner. So head around these rocks, pick up this one with your power bracelet, and head down the stairs. This is just a simple block pushing puzzle. Push the rock to the right of the treasure chest downwards, and then push your way through these rocks on the right side. Carefully work your way around the beetles and the bats, and make your way over to the left where you can push this rock down and this one over to the right, and that will give you access to the front of the treasure chest, which inside contains a Gasha seed. Nice. With the Gasha seed in our possession, we'll head back up the stairs, and we need to go to the left from here, but if we head down first, we can talk to a guy who claims that if he finds what Queen Ambi desires, he won't have to work at the tower. Although he seems to be doing a pretty good job of not working on the tower right now. This soldier warns that there are terrible beasts ahead, but that's the way we need to go, so I guess we'll just have to take our chances. There are a few moblins here, so you'll want to have your sword equipped, and we're just going to head straight down through this screen. And on this one, you'll notice one of those small trees that we can burn. So open up your inventory, equip the Ember Seeds, and underneath we'll find a hidden stairway. Down here we'll find a piece of heart, and because this is the fourth one that we found, we'll be able to cash it in for a full heart container. And as you can see, now we have 5 to work with. Not bad. We want to exit this cave the same way that we came in. If you drop down off the ledge, you'll have to take an exit that will return you to the beginning of the forest. Use your Ember Seeds on this small tree and follow the path along. This bush is actually a Deku scrub that wants to sell us a shield for 30 rupees. We can get a better deal than that, so tell him no and use your power bracelet to clear a path to this cave. Inside, we'll find another treasure chest. We'll have to pick up a rock to get it. This one contains 30 rupees. If you don't have a shield, make your way over here to the left, push your way past these hard hat beetles, and you'll find a stairway on the left side. When you emerge, you'll see a Deku scrub that will sell us a shield for only 10 rupees. That is a good deal, and although we don't need a shield, it is a nice thing to have. Back down in this cave, there's actually another exit. It's a little bit less obvious, so as soon as these hard hat beetles get out of the way, we're going to make our way back over to the right side, and we're going to follow the right wall down to the bottom. Just hack through these bushes and follow this narrow path. Take out this enemy masquerading as a bush, pick up the rock, and over here on the left side you're going to find another stairway. This one will lead us to the Mystery Seeds. Mystery Seeds have a number of uses, but the primary way that you're going to use them is by tossing them on owl statues like this one to receive a hint. This statue just says, "Do not forget to feed me Mystery Seeds," so hopefully other owl statues that we find will have better clues. If you toss a Mystery Seed on an enemy, it will have a random seed effect, which can be good, but if I'm using seeds as weapons, I'd rather use one where I know what the effect is going to be before I throw it. Mystery Seeds will also be essential for fighting a certain boss, and there will be a couple times where we have to trade them for important items. As soon as we walk down this way, a red soldier will notice that we found the Mystery Seeds and will be instantly teleported to the front of Queen Ambi's palace. This time we'll actually be able to go inside. We're led to a courtyard where we'll finally get to meet the queen. This knight says that we were planning to give her the Mystery Seeds we found as a tribute, although I don't remember ever saying that. Still, with all of these armed soldiers around, we're in no position to negotiate. Of course, now that we've unlocked the Mystery Seeds, we'll be able to find them all over the place, so handing them over to the queen here is not a problem. There's also a reward, so this actually ends up being a very good deal for us. Now, what would be an appropriate reward for a young boy that brought you seeds from the forest? How about 10 bombs? You look like the kind of kid that enjoys blowing stuff up. So here's some demolition-grade explosives. Try not to hurt yourself. Could you imagine this happening in real life? Like, instead of the mayor giving you the key to the city, he hands you a sack of bombs and just says, "Go nuts"? Well, in any case, after our hero walks away, we see a short scene that confirms what we've suspected all along. Varen is manipulating the queen, and that's why she's been acting strange. We also find out that Varen strongly dislikes mystery seeds. We may be able to use that knowledge to our advantage later. Varen also vaguely describes her evil plan. It seems that whenever the Black Tower reaches a certain height, the Age of Shadow will begin? I'm not exactly sure how that all works or why giant towers are required, but it does seem like a pretty common theme in video games. Bad guys are always trying to get giant towers built. Maybe she's trying to reach the world of Ys. The good news is the construction on the tower is actually going quite slowly, probably because everybody working on it hasn't rested in days. They're tired. Give them a chance to sleep. Bring in a second shift. Anyways, now that we have the bombs, we can finally get into level 2, so we're going to head over to the west side of town and make our way to the Deku forest once again. This is one of those screens where we can possibly meet Maple, and because we've defeated 30 enemies since we last saw her, we're able to bump into her again. This time she dropped a ring, but it's almost for certain that we won't be able to get it based on where she is on the screen in relationship to the ring. But I want you to notice that bombs are now part of the equation. You could lose some bombs when you bump into Maple if you don't grab them quickly enough. Once you're done tangling with Maple, we're just going to head down here, and we want to take the lower path on the right. We can also talk to this soldier who wasn't there before, but we're just going to loop around to the left, and there is level 2. We can use a bomb to get inside, and although simply picking up a rock was enough to make it collapse before, this time a full-on explosion is totally safe. Before we jump into level 2, let's talk about a couple of things you can only do in a linked game, and these are things that will be unlocked after completing the first dungeon. Up here in the upper right corner of the Y'all graveyard, you'll meet this friendly ghost who will tell you a secret. A secret, as far as this game is concerned, is a short password that you'll need to write down, and then you'll need to tell that password to another character in your finished Oracle of Seasons game. The character that we're looking for in Oracle of Seasons is down in the lower left corner of the map in the graveyard. So this is the space that you're looking for, and you want to dig behind this grave with your shovel. If you visited this area during the spring season, you would notice that there are no flowers behind that particular grave, but you need it to be summer so you can climb up the vines to get there. We'll tell this ghost the password that we got in Oracle of Ages, and your password may be different. So don't just use the password from this game, it probably won't work. Once you give the ghost the password, he wants you to play a short minigame. This minigame is pretty easy. A bunch of ghosts will appear on the screen, and you need to figure out if there were more red ghosts or more blue ghosts. So it's simply a matter of counting. And for the first couple that come up, you really don't have to count. Even babies could figure this out. Obviously, there are more red ghosts than blue ghosts. So let's see, red or blue? Red, okay, we were correct. The second puzzle will also be easy. It's the third one that's tough. So this time there were obviously more blue ghosts. But the last one, you'll only see the ghosts for a few seconds, and they're going to be fairly even. So it looked like there were more red ghosts. You just have to kind of go with your gut, and hopefully you'll be correct. If you're wrong, you'll just have to play the game again. The reward for doing all of this is quite good. It's an entire heart container. Not only that, but the ghost will teach you another password that we can use in Oracle of Ages, and we'll be able to get an extra heart container there as well. To redeem our extra heart container in Oracle of Ages, we simply need to go inside the Maku tree, where we can give the password to the Oracle of Secrets. With only one exception, anytime that we do one of these secret quests, we're going to come back here inside the Maku tree to get our reward. Be aware that even with the extra heart container that we get from this secret, we can never have more than 14 heart containers in this game, so if we find any extra ones after we have the maximum, they just won't count. After we pick up our heart container from the chest, if we look in the green book on the counter, you'll be able to see that the graveyard secret will be marked inside, but there are lots of empty spaces for other secrets that we haven't found yet. Speaking of, there is another secret you can do after completing level 1. Make your way to the lower left corner of the Deku forest and speak to this Deku scrub. This guy likes seeds so much he wrote a song about it, and if we write down the password that he gives us, we can take it over into Oracle of Seasons, where we'll be able to get an upgrade. Now, the area you need to go to in Oracle of Seasons is called the Natsu Wasteland, but before you go there, you need to fill up your seed satchel so that all of your seeds are completely maxed out. You could do this inside the Maku tree, just go in there and you should be able to find some seeds. Also, this area will look a little bit different depending on which of the 3 animal companions you've chosen, but the cave will be in roughly the same area. So give this guy the password from Oracle of Ages. Your password may be a little bit different from mine. And once you do, if you have a completely filled seed bag, he'll give you the seed bag upgrade. He says to come back when our seed satchel is full, but the good news is we already did that, so we can just talk to him right away. Now we'll be able to carry 99 of each seed. When we go back to Oracle of Ages, we'll be able to use a password to get a seed bag upgrade there, but we haven't received any other seed bag upgrades in Oracle of Ages yet, so we won't be able to hold the full 99 until we meet up with Tingle. The good news is you don't have to have a completely full seed bag to get the upgrade here in Ages, so just give the password to the Oracle of Secrets, and your upgrade will be unlocked. You don't even have to pick it up from a chest this time. With this upgrade, you'll be able to hold 50 of each seed. Alright, that's all the linked game stuff for now, so let's get back to level 2, the Wing Dungeon. If you need more bombs or mystery seeds, you can pick up these clay pots near the entrance, and there's one of those owl statues. We can use a mystery seed on him to get a hint. Let's see what it has to say. Good defense is the best offense against spikes. Well, we kind of knew that already since we played Link's Awakening. The best way to defeat these enemies is to block them with your shield, and when they're flipped over, strike them with your sword. However, if you don't have a shield, you can also use your shovel to flip them over, so that will also work. This room has a cube puzzle. You can't just push the cube to the left. Instead, you need to roll it over here to the right first, then down, and then back up and over to the black tile. That should push it onto its red side, and that's the side it needs to be on to open the door. You'll notice that this wall not only has a crack on it, but it also makes a different noise when you strike it with your sword. That means it can be destroyed with a bomb. Behind the wall is the dungeon map. Now we can see the rooms that we haven't been to yet, and if we look at it, you'll notice that this dungeon is broken up into 2 floors. Well, after taking a look at the map, we'll hop down here and take the upper left exit, and then we'll go left into this room. Watch out for the spark enemies and the gels that pop out of the floor, and make your way over here to the left. The enemies in this room are guarding the first small key of the dungeon. These moblins can be defeated with your sword, but the Ember Seeds are very effective. Once you've cleared them and the bats, you'll be able to pick up the key and make your way out to the right. Once again, watch out for the sparks and the gels. We want to work our way back to the room just above the entryway that had those spiked beetles in it. As you walk through, you'll notice some tracks on the ground. We're going to be riding a minecart in this level, so get ready for that. Push the blocks in this pattern and work your way down and to the right. We're just backtracking through, and here's the room we were looking for. You don't have to clear the enemies this time, just push through the door in the lower right. And this room has a bunch of snakes in it, which are called rope in this game. And when you clear them all, you'll be able to push the block in the upper right out of the way so that you can access the chest, as well as the upper right exit. The chest contains the compass, which will make it a little bit easier to keep track of where keys and treasures are in this dungeon. According to the compass, there's a treasure chest in the room just above this one, but before we go up there, there's a cracked wall at the bottom that we can open up with a bomb. Inside, we'll find a stairway that leads to this side-scrolling passage. Carefully navigate the ladders and moving platforms and make your way to the right. There's a large thwomp here, so try to get it to drop and then walk underneath it as it retracts to the ceiling. Then ride this platform over to the right ladder. In this room, we simply need to clear out the enemies to find a key. Alright, that's what we were looking for. This room is sort of dangling off to the side of the map, which means there's nothing else here. So once you have the key, make your way back down into the passage and work your way back to the left. When we finally get out of this passage, we're going to go back to the room where we got the compass, and we're going to take the exit in the upper right. Some of the ropes that we fought there may have respawned, but they should only respawn if we knock them into a pit instead of actually killing them. So there won't be too many left. I think it was just that one. So we'll push that block out of the way and head up here. There are several moblins in this room, but don't worry about the ones up above. We can't really get up there just yet. Use your key in the left wall, and in this room you'll see a minecart. Hop inside. You can attack enemies while you're riding, but you won't be able to get off the minecart until it reaches the end of the track. Sometimes you'll find switches that will be able to change where the minecart goes, so keep that in mind. Up here, we'll face the dungeon's mini-boss, Swoop. Whenever Swoop flies around, he'll eventually land, and where he lands, there will be a hole that opens up in the ground. If you fall into that hole, you'll go down here to the basement of the dungeon. Whenever you fall down here, the boss will get all of its health back, and there's nothing good to find down in that basement room, so you want to avoid this. The best way to do that is to hang out here on the blue tiles that surround the perimeter of the room. Swoop can't actually damage those. Simply charge up your sword and wait until Swoop is about to drop. Then simply move one space down so that he'll land right on your charged up blade. You'll only need to do this a few times before Swoop will get to his second phase. In the second phase of the battle, Swoop can bounce multiple times on the ground whenever he lands, but as long as you keep him over on the side of the screen, he won't create any of those pits that you can fall into. So we're just going to keep charging up our weapon, wait until he's about to drop, and then let him land on the blade. So wait, drop, and here's that second phase. Whenever he's done bouncing, you can hit him again with your sword, so you may want to do that to finish the battle more quickly. And with that, Swoop is defeated, and we'll be able to grab a fairy for our troubles. Take the exit in the upper right, and then head down the stairs. Down here, we are very close to finding this dungeon's item, so take the exit at the bottom, and carefully work your way around the outside of this screen, avoiding the enemies or striking them with your sword if you have a good opportunity. They can throw arrows at you, so try to dodge those and go towards the exit in the upper right. This is the room we were looking for. This room contains one of those owl statues, so once we clear out the enemies, we can switch over to Mystery Seeds and find out what this statue has to say. With the blue wing, soar over the colored heights. That clue is a little bit cryptic, but if we head up the stairs, we'll find another one of those side-scrolling areas, and down here, we'll find the Roc's Feather. If you've played Link's Awakening, you'll be familiar with the Roc's Feather. This awesome item allows Link to jump. With our new feather, we can hop on top of this thwomp, and then we can jump over here to the left, where we'll find 30 hidden rupees. Very nice. Now that we have the Roc's Feather, the clue that the owl gave us before makes a bit more sense. If we hop over the colored tile until it turns red, the door on the right will open. Now we can head through this room where we'll need to jump over a few pits, and at the end, we'll find another minecart. As you ride through this room, strike the yellow lever with your sword so that your cart will stop in the upper right. Then we're going to use a bomb on the wall over here. You can see the cracks where you need to place the bomb, and in the next room we'll be able to get a key. So we just need to clear out the enemies in here, strike them with your sword. You can also use Ember Seeds, or if you're feeling frisky, you can try Mystery Seeds. They just do a random effect. The chest, of course, contains the key that we were looking for, and once we have it, we can head back through the wall on the left side. We'll be using that key soon enough, but we can't get through this barrier until we push the cube onto the black tile with the blue face up. To do that, you want to push it over to the right first and then wrap it around this way, and that will solve the puzzle. Now we can ride the minecart into the next room. There's another key to find here. You'll notice some colored tiles over here on the right and a pattern on the left side. Use your Roc's Feather to hop over the tiles, which will cause them to change color. You can do 2 at a time. Once you match the pattern, yellow and blue, just like on the left, a key will fall from the sky. If the flying pea hat enemies in this room are bothering you, you can clear them by waiting for them to stop and then striking them with your weapon. Up here we can use one of our keys in the block, but then we need to drop down here and hop through this room so that we can open one of those cart gates. So hop down here, and we just need to bounce a couple times over this tile until it turns blue, and that will open up the gate and allow our minecart to be able to pass through this room. To get to the card in question, we're simply going to wrap around through the room where we fought Swoop, and then we'll head over here to the right, where we can ride the rails once more. And now you can see why we needed to open that gate. And we've seen that room before, and we've seen this one as well, but we're just passing through at the moment. Now we're on the other side of this room with the moblins, and in this treasure chest, we'll be able to pick up a Gasha seed. From here, we're going to head through the exit at the top of the screen, and in this room, we need to solve a clay pot puzzle. We need to push one of those pots onto that button, and to do so, we'll need to move the one in the upper right corner of this formation. So put on your power bracelet, pick up this pot, and this is the one that you need to move. None of the others are going to work. You'll also need your Rock's Feather to hop over some of the pits, and you'll want to get rid of as many of the enemies as you can. The puzzle itself is fairly straightforward once you understand what you need to do. Hop over this pit, push it down to here, and then push the pot over to the right a few more times, which will open up the door. In this room, there's a couple ways we can go, but we want to start out by heading down here where we can find another small key. On the left side, you can see an arrangement of colored statues, and you'll need to recreate that pattern on the right. The trick is you can only move the statues that match the color of the tile in the center, but you can change that tile's color by jumping over it with your Rock's Feather. So move the yellow statue into the center first, surround it on 4 sides by the blue statues, and then hop over the tile once more so that you can fill in the corners with the red statues. This puzzle is not that difficult, so just recreate the pattern as you see it, and another small key will drop down from the sky. Grab it and make your way back up. This locked door on the right will lead us to a room with a colorful floor known as a disco room. The disco room has a tile in the center that you can use to change the entire floor's color. Just hop over it with your Rock's Feather. You can only damage the enemies in this room when they don't match the color of the floor, so I like to hop over the tile in the center twice quickly. I think that gives me a little bit more time sometimes to clear out the enemies, and then just strike them with your weapon to make the chest appear, and this one contains the boss key. We'll use our last small key in the door at the top of this room, and we just need to avoid the sparks and watch out for the bats here, because on the right side, we'll find the boss key door. Now, the boss is located up the stairs. Before we go onto the stairs though, you can pick up these pots to find a fairy, and we can also get a clue as to how to fight the boss from this owl statue. This owl tells us the red face fears smoke, which means we're going to need to toss a bomb into the boss whenever the face is red. Easier said than done. This is the head thwomp. The game sort of expects you to ride those rotating platforms so that you can drop a bomb directly into the top of the boss, but doing that is pretty dangerous, and it's much safer to throw your bombs from the left or right ledge. So start on the far side, time up a throw, and then run to the edge of the ledge where you can get a little bit of momentum to toss your bomb into the boss. It needs to land in the top while the red face is on the front. Watch the pattern of the rotating faces and pay attention to which colored face is on the front as you pick up a bomb and start your run. Whenever you toss your bomb into the boss, if it doesn't land on the red side, you can use where it does land to see how far off you were. If it stops on the purple face, you started too early. If it stops on the green face, you went too late. And if it stops on the blue face, you were way off. So take that information and adjust accordingly. Each time you score a hit on the red face, the boss gets a little bit faster, making it more difficult to time up your toss. Most of the attacks that occur whenever you stop on a non-red face can be avoided by staying in the upper corner, so hang out over here and you should not take very much damage even if you make a lot of mistakes. 4 direct hits is all it takes to defeat the head thwomp, but even with the techniques you see here, I would still say this is one of the more challenging bosses in the game. Once the boss is out of the way, we'll be able to head to this room where we can get the Ancient Wood. Yep, that's what it's called. It's our second Essence of Time. Now, before we move on, I want to show you a few amazing tricks that will allow us to skip the level 2 boss. And it all starts here with the Toilet Warp. Equip your Ember Seeds and you want to position Link just as you see here. Then we're going to tap up, talk to the hand to make it go away, then tap A twice and quickly hold down and left. If you do it correctly, you'll warp to this room, and when you exit through the stairs, you'll find yourself stuck on top of this small tree. You can kill the Octorok with your sword whenever it gets close, but do not hurt that like. That like is the only way we're going to get off of this tree. You need to wait here patiently until the like bumps you from below. That's the only way we're going to be able to get out of here, and you need to actively watch this because as soon as you get caught by the like, you want to start rapidly rotating the directional pad on the controller so that you can get out of the like's clutches without losing your shield. We're going to need the shield for the next trick, so you can't afford to lose it. And that's what it looks like when done properly. Now you may have noticed that we not only warped to a different part of the map that we haven't been to yet, but we also went from the past to the present. So we're going to head up here, and this is the most difficult and frustrating part of the trick. This trick not only requires precise timing, but we also have to get a little bit lucky so that an enemy on the next screen behaves in a certain way. Yeah, that's not easy. I'm going to show the trick at full speed first, and then I'll explain it in slow motion. But here's what it looks like. So we're tossing this bomb, and we're going to use our shield so that we can get a boost off of the bomb and bump this enemy at the same time. And then we're going to do a big jump to get across the pit. So that's what it looks like in a nutshell. What we need to do is to position Link on this exact pixel, pause the game, and set bombs to B. As soon as we unpause the game, we're going to be holding right and B so that we pick up a bomb and move to the right at the first possible frame. This is called buffering. Now we're going to wait until Link gets to the very edge of this pit, and we're going to pause to the inventory again. As soon as we unpause, we're going to hold right and B so that we toss the bomb. Immediately after tossing the bomb, pause to the inventory again, and when we unpause, we're going to quickly press start and select to bring up the save menu. When you press B to cancel out of this menu, be holding up, and then we're going to pause, and we're going to unpause holding A to deflect with the shield. Now you see that the bomb has exploded. We paused again, and we're going to set the feather to B, and we're going to hold right and B as we unpause. If we timed everything perfectly, we'll get a bump from the shield, and we'll also get a boost from the explosion, and that will be enough to get us over the pit. If you do anything wrong or that enemy doesn't cooperate, the trick won't work, and you'll have to go back to the left and reset it. Once you make it out here though, use the Tune of Echoes after picking up this rock to travel back to the past. We're going to get the Pegasus Seeds, and we're going to be able to get them a little bit early. This is extremely important. Whenever you use a Pegasus Seed, it will make you run faster for a short amount of time, and if you combine it with our feather, you'll also be able to jump farther. So if we get the Pegasus Seeds early, we'll be able to use them to get the flippers. Once you have the Pegasus Seeds in your inventory, all you need to do is save and quit the game, and when we reload, we'll be back in the present version of Rolling Ridge, and that will take us quite close to where we need to go. To get the flippers, we need to head for the Yawl Graveyard. And you can see what those Pegasus Seeds do. They make you run quite quickly while you're using them. We want to drop down right here, and that will take you to a familiar looking area. And from there, just make your way to the graveyard, and when you get there, this is the screen we're looking for. Activate a Pegasus Seed while you have your feather set to B, and hop over these first two pits, but this one's a little bit trickier. You need to grab a bomb, so set bombs to A, pick one up, and when it starts flashing, you want to keep pausing the game until you see it explode. This time when you unpause, we're going to hold left and B, and you should get a boost from the bomb that will carry you over the pit. For all that to work, it is important that Link is standing in the right spot, and that your Pegasus Seed is still active. So if you're not making it across that last pit, those could be some of the problems. Down here, we'll be able to get the flipper, and we're going to use the power bracelet, so just pull on this bar, and then we're going to quickly hop over to the right. And there they are, the Zora Flippers. But that's not the only thing that we want to get in this cave. Swim to the upper left corner so that we can also get Cheval's rope. Normally you would have needed to finish level 2 to trigger events that would allow you to come down here, but now we have the Cheval rope and the flippers, which is everything that we need to get into level 3. And that's what we need to do next. We actually have to finish level 3 so that we can get the seed shooter, and we don't even need to talk to Moosh now. We already have the flippers, but that's how you would normally get them. He does appear after you've already entered the cave. And we'll talk to Rafton, who tells us that with the Cheval rope, he'll be able to build a raft, but he won't let us use the raft until we have a chart. So to get the chart, you have to head back to the present, talk to Ricky over here near the entrance of the Yawl Graveyard, and we need to find his gloves on the beach. Ricky's gloves are not very far away. Use your shovel to dig up this plot of dirt, and that's where the gloves are. And then we're going to bring them back to Ricky and ride him over to Tingle, who will give us a chart. And because we already have the Pegasus Seeds, we can talk to Tingle again, and he will give us the Seed Satchel upgrade, which he will only give us once we have 3 or more types of seeds. Usually the first time that you meet Tingle, you'll only have 2 types of seeds in your inventory, so by doing this trick to get the Pegasus Seeds early, you'll also get the Seed Satchel upgrade early, which is a nice little bonus. Now that we have Tingle's chart, we will return to Rafton, who will let us use the raft, and we'll set sail for Crescent Island. Crescent Island is where level 3 is, and there's a number of things that we will need to do on the island before we can get to level 3, but we'll go over that stuff a little bit later in the video. Just make your way to level 3, the Moonlit Grotto. Once you get here, you need to get the seed shooter, The seed shooter is essential for the trick that will allow us to skip the second boss, but you do need to finish the dungeon and get the echoing howl. That's the only way you'll be able to trigger the events that will let us get off of Crescent Island. Completing level 3 will allow us to meet Dimitri up here in the corner, and we can ride him back to Lynna City. Once we get to the beach, he'll leave us behind, and then we can just head back to level 2 because it's finally time to do the boss skip. Equip the sword and the seed shooter with mystery seeds equipped. You want to position Link on this exact pixel. So you're going to line him up over here, and we need to go up a couple spots. Take a look at the picture and the graphics on the left side of the screen. That's what you're looking for. And when you get there, hold A and fire up and to the left. As soon as you do, you're going to hold down, swing your sword twice as you walk down through the door, and you should glitch the game and end up in this strange area. Once you get there, you want to go left twice and then go up through the center of the screen. Now we're going to go left at the very top of the screen and then immediately go up. Now we want to go all the way to the top center and go up, and from here we're going to go left through the middle of the left side. Then we want to go up through the middle of the top of the screen, and that will take us here to the treasure room where we'll find the ancient wood. And that's how you skip the level 2 boss. It only takes about 1,000 steps, but it is a pretty cool trick. And now back to our regular run. If you were paying attention to those last few tricks, you know that level 3 is located on Crescent Island, but before we can get over there, there's a number of things we need to do. If we head up across those small pits in the forest, we can find this cave that contains our next heart container piece. Use your feather to hop across the pits, don't linger on the cracked areas of the floor, and use the power bracelet to pick up the clay pots. We just recently completed a full heart container, so we'll need to find 3 more pieces before we'll get another one. If we head up here, well, it looks like we're about to run into Maple. Remember that Maple only appears on certain screens, and this happens to be one of them. And she only appears after we've cleared at least 30 enemies since the last time we met her, unless of course we have the Maple Ring, which reduces it down to 15 enemies. In the mad dash to collect items, use your sword to give yourself a little more reach. And it looks like we came out better than we were before. So the real reason why we came up here is that if we use the shovel in the middle of these 4 rocks, we'll find a plot of soft soil where we can plant a Gasha seed. So we'll do that, and we'll have to come back to collect the Gasha nut later. The next thing we need to do is visit the Y'all graveyard in the present, but if we want to see a scene with Ralph, we can visit Cheval in the past first. It's his grave that we actually go to in the present. To get there, we're going to go to pretty close to where Rafton lives, so we'll head across the bridge. We don't have the flippers just yet, so we can't enter the water, and we'll head down here. We'll just keep going down instead of going to the left where Rafton lives, and if we cut across to the right, this is Cheval's house, and we wouldn't have been able to get here before because we didn't have the Rock's Feather. Cheval tells us that he's researching how to make flippers for swimming and rope that won't decay in water, but so far he hasn't been successful in inventing those things. Well, good news, Cheval. I know for a fact that you'll invent those things eventually, because I'm from the future. And Ralph reminds us that there's a grave in our own time that has Cheval's name on it. So that's actually a good hint. Thanks, Ralph. The fastest way to get back to the present from here is to use the warp tile that's in front of the Maku tree gate. And over here we can replenish our Ember Seeds, so that's nice. And before we go back to the present, we have a little bit of money now, so we can buy that Game Boy Advance exclusive ring. It sounds really special, but it's really not. That's just the only place that we can get it, and if we're interested in completing the ring collection, we will need to pick it up at some point. This is that time tile that'll take us back to the present, so we'll play the Harp of Ages and return to our own time. Since we're in the area, we can stop by the jewelry store to get our rings appraised. We did pick up one random ring from a Gasha Nut, and it's the blue holy ring, which prevents damage from Zora fire. It's not a great ring, but at least it has a positive effect, which is more than I can really say about the GBA time ring. Neither of those rings is exceptionally useful, so I'm not going to bother equipping them, and we're going to make our way to that graveyard. As we have many times before, we're going to chop through this bush, then we'll go up and to the right, and then down here near where the game began. Over here to the right is the Y'all graveyard. We'll burn through this small tree, and then over to the right, we'll see a strange blue winged bear that's being antagonized by ghosts. This bear's name is Moosh, and he's one of the 3 animal companions that we can potentially team up with. We'll need to protect him from the ghosts, so get rid of all 3 of those monsters, and once you do, Moosh will be calmed down, and he'll allow us to ride him. Or at least he'll allow us to ride him once we can convince him that we're not interested in having him for dinner. Hop onto Moosh's back, and if you press A, you'll be able to jump, but if you rapidly tap A, you'll be able to hover in the air. You can also charge up a drop attack while you're hovering by pressing B. Most of the time you're just going to use Moosh to get across pits, so jump into the air, rapidly tap A, and you can maneuver over those holes to get to Cheval's grave. Down here, we know what to do. You can knock these hard hat beetles into the water, that will get them out of the way, and we're going to head over to the lower right corner where we'll find the flippers. The flippers allow Link to swim in most water, but they won't let him swim in the ocean or darker water, which is especially deep. Of course, we wouldn't need to bother with getting the raft if we can just jump into the ocean and swim to Crescent Island. Use your power bracelet to pull on this bar and pull it as far as it will go, then hop over to the right and quickly grab the flippers. Once you have the Zora's flippers, you can just hop down to the left and swim to the upper left corner of the cave, where we'll find the Cheval rope. The Cheval rope is exactly what Rafton needs to fulfill his dream of building a seaworthy raft. He's going to be so happy when we bring it to him. Once you have both the flippers and the raft, there's nothing more that we need to do here in Cheval's grave, so you can just make your way back out the same way that we came in. When we get to the outside, we'll be able to chat with Moosh one more time. He is very thankful that we rescued him, and he's happy to be our friend. This doesn't make him our permanent animal companion. We're going to have a chance encounter with the other 2 animals, and then we'll be able to take actions which will commit us to one of them. Down here we have a Gasha Nut, and let's see what's inside. It's a ring, which is what we were hoping for. We'll need to get it appraised. Hopefully it will be a good ring, but we don't have very many rings at this point, so we just need to fill out our collection. Rafton does not live in this time, so the next thing we need to do is go back to the past, and the fastest way to do that is to head up to Nehru's house, where we'll find a time tile that we can activate with our Harp of Ages. You remember this one. Play the Tune of Echoes, sending us 400 years into the past. Once we get to that older time, we're going to go to Lynna village, so head to the left, then down, and then to the left again. Watch out for that guy playing ball with his son, and we're going to continue going down. We need to go left one more time, and then we're going to go straight down, and we'll need to cross this bridge, and then we'll head down towards where Rafton's hut is. But before we visit him, if we head over here to the left and hop over this pit, we can swim across, dig up this bit of dirt, and if we dig here, we'll find some soft soil where we can plant a Gosha seed. So we'll do that, and we'll come back to collect the Gosha nut that we can harvest later. Now that we're done pretending to be Johnny Appleseed, we can get back to our normal quest. Rafton is so excited to see the Cheval rope, and when we give it to him, he promises to let us be the first one to ride his raft. You mean he promises to let us be the guinea pig that tests it. Thanks a lot, Rafton. Rafton insists that it's not safe to ride on his death machine without a chart, so we'll have to find one before we can get on the raft. And you know who knows about charts? It's our good friend Ralph. Ralph has heard that a weird guy has sea charts to a secret isle because of course Ralph knows all the local weirdos. Ralph runs off before he can elaborate, but it looks like we're heading back to the present. So we'll just go up here, back across the bridge and into the village, and we know where we have to go from here. We're going to go to the right and follow the path behind the stores, because that's where the time tile is. We'll use our Harp of Ages to play that familiar tune, and we'll be back to the future. Back in the present time, we'll take the familiar path through Lynna City to the exit on the right side. We need to head towards the Y'all Graveyard. That's where we'll meet with Ricky. Ricky is not the weird guy that we're looking for. Ricky's a kangaroo, and he's one of our possible animal companions. Ricky claims to be this amazing jumper, but he's just not feeling it today. He's in a bad mood because he lost his boxing gloves, although he knows exactly where he left them. Well, you know, maybe if you tried, looking in the place that you suggested, you might be able to find them, Ricky. I don't know what you're doing standing in front of the Y'all Graveyard. You're not gonna find the boxing gloves there. To get to the gloves, we want to pick up this rock and head down from here, but we haven't explored much of the map over on this side, so let's take a look at what's going on in this area. Not a whole lot, as it turns out. So we'll just take a look at this screen, and if we head back to the right and maybe go down, there's another nice dead end. And now that we've opened that bit of the map up, we can get back to what we were doing before. Maybe check out this screen a little bit too. I don't think that one was on our map either. We'll need to use the power bracelet to pick up this rock, so we'll lift it up, and underneath was a bomb, so that's nice. And here's where Ricky left the gloves. As anyone who's ever been to the beach knows, sometimes sand blows over your stuff, so you might have to dig a little bit to find something that you lost. Ricky is going to be so excited when we return these gloves that he's going to let us ride in his pouch. Which begs the question, how big is Ricky? Because I've seen kangaroos before, and I definitely don't think a human being would fit in their pouch. This guy's gotta be enormous. So while we're riding in Ricky, the kaiju-sized kangaroo, We can hop over small pits, he can punch through bushes or other obstacles, and he can leap up cliffs. And that's his most important move because that's how we're going to get to Tingle. You can see him floating on a balloon over there. You can actually just walk over small gaps like this. And we'll hop up one more cliff, and then we can dismount. To get Tingle off of his balloon, you need to jump with your feather and slash it with your sword. Tingle appears in many Zelda games, and while he is a normal adult, he seems to really believe that he's some kind of fairy. Tingle really likes our style, so he wants to be our friend. We really need his island chart, so we don't have much of a choice. As a sign of his friendship, Tingle will give us a chart to his secret island. Yeah, that sounds like somewhere that we definitely don't want to go to. Look, if some weirdo invites you to his private island and says the only way to find it is to follow his crudely drawn treasure map, that is definitely a trap. Ricky can tell that this whole thing is sketchy, so he gets out of here, and we probably should too. Once we have the sea chart, we can just save and quit, and when we reload the game, because we haven't gone into any doors, we're going to reappear right at Rafton's house, which is a huge shortcut. What took you so long, he says. I mean, it only took us a few minutes, and we did it in the future using a time-traveling device. Rafton explains how to operate his complicated new invention, and I've gotta ask, was waterproof rope really what was holding this guy back from making this thing? I mean, would standard rope not have been good enough to lash 3 logs together? We weren't trying to take this thing around the world. When you reach this space on the map, disaster strikes. Yeah, we decided to go rafting out on the ocean in a storm. Really great idea. Well, I guess we had Tingle's chart, so we managed to find our way to the hidden island, but when we get there, some sort of lizard creatures took all of our items. That's extremely rude. Before we worry about getting our stuff back, let's talk about a couple of things you can do in a linked game after finishing level 2. If you go to Mayor Plen's house in the present version of Lynna City, you'll be able to talk to his wife, and she has a secret password for Ruul, who's the mayor of Horon Village in Oracle of Seasons. So jot down this password, and then jump over to your completed game in Oracle of Seasons, and make your way to the mayor's house. It's right over here. Here's where it is on the map if you're not sure where to look. Whenever you go inside, the mayor will ask if you need anything, and that's when you can give him the password from Oracle of Ages. This secret will unlock an upgrade for your ring box. So if you had the level 1 ring box that can only hold 1 ring, it'll take you up to the level 2 ring box, which can hold 3. Or if you had the level 2 ring box, it'll upgrade you to the level 3 ring box, which can hold 5 rings. Here's the bad news though. You can still only have 1 ring equipped at a time, so you will need to toggle between the rings in your inventory whenever you want to use different ones. Make sure to write down the secret that Mayor Ruul gives you so that you can take it back to Oracle of Ages, and you can give it to the Oracle of Secrets here inside of the Maku tree to unlock a ring box upgrade for this game as well. Being able to carry more rings is always nice, especially when you're playing a linked game and you can bring your entire ring collection over from the previous game that you played. Being able to toggle between the 3 best rings you found in Oracle of Seasons is quite good, and if you want to find another exclusive ring, there's another secret you can do after finishing level 2. Go to where the collapsed dungeon was in the present, and you'll find a fairy. She asks us to do her a favor. We need to go behind the falls in the sunken Temple of Seasons and give the fairy there this secret. The first time I played through Oracle of Seasons, I definitely wondered what was up with the mysterious room behind the waterfall inside of the temple, and it's for this particular secret. So you'll go into the Temple of Seasons, and behind this waterfall is a hidden room. If you've completed the game, you'll find the Great Fairy here, and she asks us if we have a secret for her. We do. The reward for doing this secret is the Heart Ring level 1, which is a nice little ring that, while equipped, will slowly restore your health. So every once in a while you're playing the game, you'll just get a little bit of health back, and while that doesn't sound like much, it's actually a pretty good item, especially compared to the tons of other rings that barely do anything. This one's a little bit weird because there's no return secret this time. Instead, you'll need to get the ring appraised, and then it will be added to your collection. Once it's been added to your collection, you can talk to the red snake to get your ring secret, and if you take that ring secret to the jewelry store in Ages, you'll be able to transfer any rings over that you had in Seasons. You can't lose rings by doing this, you can only add on ones that you didn't have before. Also keep in mind that the passwords that you see here in the video probably won't work in your game. Every game has a game ID number, which is a hidden code that was assigned to your game a long time ago, and that just sort of adds a few variables to the passwords so that you can't use the same password on someone else's game. I guess the developers didn't want to make it too easy for people to share rings with their friends. And you can see we'll put the Heart Ring level 1 on. There's also a Heart Ring level 2, which is a more powerful version of this effect, but that's the only way to get the Heart Ring level 1. And there is yet another secret that you can do after completing level 2. You need to meet this woman that lives over near Rafton's hut. This woman is looking for an unlucky guy, and she's very worried that he might end up as a bag of bones. Well, I have bad news for you, lady. That guy that you're looking for is definitely a skeleton, and he can be found here in Oracle of Seasons down in Subrosia. There are a bunch of skeleton pirates in this game, and they have a little house down here. The one that you're looking for lives on the upper floor, and when you talk to him and give him the secret from Oracle of Ages, he unfortunately won't be able to give you your reward until you come back with exactly 777 ore chunks. So where do we find that many ore chunks? Well, you're gonna have to get your shovel out and start digging. If you have the green joy ring, you're going to want to equip that because that will double the amount of ore you find. So we can equip that ring, assuming that we've selected it from our list at Vazu's jewelry store, which we have. And you can see that will allow us to find twice as many ore chunks, which will make this take less time. And then you basically just need to find a big open field and start digging. You'll find some ore chunks that are worth more than others, but after a while you should have exactly 777. If you have too many, you can go to the store to spend some. This guy doesn't take the ore, he's just happy to see that you have it, and as your reward, we can now hold more bombs. Nice! He also gives us a secret so that we can take it back to the Maku tree in Oracle of Ages, and we'll be able to hold more bombs in that game as well. So, as we always do, we'll head here to the Oracle of Secrets, and we'll tell her the password that our good friend the skeleton gave us. Being able to hold more bombs is nice, but for all the work it took to get those ore chunks, I feel like we got better rewards before for doing a lot less. So whether you want to do this secret or not is up to you, but that's the last linked game secret that I have for now. So we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled quest where we were marooned on Crescent Island and our stuff had been taken away by Tokay Lizardmen. We had a lot of items, and the only thing that the Tokay don't steal are items like rings that were on our inventory subscreen, so it's going to take a bit of effort to get everything back. There are a couple ways to shortcut this, but I'm going to show you the normal way first. Down here, you may want to push this plant in front of the wall. When we come back in the present, it will have grown into some vines and we'll be able to climb them. Down here is where we'll find our first item. It's the shovel. We'll need the shovel to get our sword back, so come down here and get it first. Once you have the shovel, we're going to go into the cave that's directly above this. You can certainly use the shovel to dig up some dirt clumps if you want, but there's nothing important to be found outside. To get the sword back, work your way around these crystal formations and dig up this dirt. That will open up a path down here to this Tokay, and when you talk to him, he'll give you the sword back without a whole lot of resistance. The sword will let us chop through the crystals in this cave, and it will also let us cut bushes outside. There is a treasure chest in this cave that contains a Gasha seed, but we'll have to come back later to get it. Up here we'll find some bushes that we would have been unable to pass if we didn't have the sword. So cut down here and go through the bushes, and that's going to open up a path to the other side of the island. This Deku scrub offers us a shield for 50 rupees, which is highway robbery. We're going to turn that guy down. You don't have to do it right now, but if you push this small plant into the upper left corner, that will help out later. And down here, we're going to walk by a small cave. Inside, there's a ring that we'll be able to get, but we won't be able to reach it until we have the level 2 switch hook. The small tent on the east side of the island contains some baby chickens, which are known as cuckoos in the Zelda universe, and it also contains our bombs, but we can't reach them from there. Up here in the upper right corner of the island, we'll be able to meet the Tokay Chief. He has 2 of our items, but he won't give them back for free. This guy wants to trade. The chief wants seeds, but our seed satchel is still missing. He will accept our shovel though, so trade him the shovel for the power bracelet. We won't be able to get the feather right now, and we will need to come back for the shovel later. Once you have the bracelet though, go all the way down here and work your way around. We're going to go up these stairs and over to the right, and then we'll pick up this rock, which will allow us to access these stairs. In this cave, you're just going to push the rocks aside and go up the stairs on the right. And that's how we get the bombs. You've probably already noticed a few places where we need to use bombs, including on the cracked blocks down here. We'll just drop a bomb on those and move out of the way, and when we open the chest, we'll be able to grab a Gasha seed. Once we have that item, we'll go back out through the stairs in the upper left. We'll need our power bracelet to pick up the rock again, and then we're going to go back down the stairs and up the right side of the island. There's a cave that we can open up with some bombs just up here, and inside we'll find a Tokay that runs a minigame. Very interesting marketing strategy, having the door to your shop blocked by a landslide that can only be opened with explosives, but it did get us in here. This game costs 10 rupees, so if you're low on cash, you may want to get your shovel back from the Tokay Chief so that you can dig up the ground until you have more money. You need to get a perfect score on this minigame to win the Scent Seedling, and we do need it to move forward. So pick up each hunk of meat that falls from the sky, and you want to toss it directly to each Tokay that comes down. You need to put it right into their hands. If you miss, you may not be able to get a perfect score. Whenever you see a red Tokay, that's the last one, so just keep tossing the meats carefully and precisely, and you should be able to win this minigame. That was the first mandatory minigame that we had to play, and it's a fairly easy one. Later on in the game, there will be more mandatory minigames that we have to play, and some of them are a good bit more difficult. If we plant the Scent Seedling that we just won, we'll be able to grow a seed-bearing tree that produces a new type of seeds that we haven't seen before. Scent Seeds. Scent Seeds can be used as a currency to trade with the Tokay Chief, so we will need to get them so that we can secure all of our items. Use your power bracelet to pick up the rock and talk to this Tokay who runs a local tree nursery. He will be very excited to see a Scent Seedling, and, well, yeah, it's going to need to be a little bit bigger than that before we'll be able to get seeds. So we'll have to come back here in the present if we want to get them. But for now, that's all we need to do with the power bracelet, so we can trade it back to the Tokay Chief, and then we'll be able to get the Rock's Feather. Until we get some seeds, we'll only be able to have one of these 3 items at a time, and now that we have the combination of the feather and the bombs, we'll be able to get our flippers back. So head down this way, go up the stairs, and hop over this hole. Over here, if we come up to this wall, we can use bombs to get inside. So we'll just place a bomb next to this cracked wall, and inside we're going to need to use the feather as well as the bombs again. So use the bombs to break through the cracked blocks, and use the feather to hop over the water. Remember, we don't have our flippers just yet, so we can't go into the water. Hop over to this side, and down here we'll find the Tokay that has our flippers. Yeah, we're going to need those back, buddy. Now that we have the flippers, there's a suspicious pool of water in the upper left corner of this cave, but we can't get up there without our power bracelet. There are some rocks that are blocking the way. So we have to walk all the way back to the Tokay Chief and trade him our Rock's Feather for the power bracelet once more. The good news is, now that we have the bombs and the flippers, once we trade over the feather to get the power bracelet back, we'll finally be able to get our seed satchel, and then we can purchase one of these items outright. Okay, you get the feather back and I get the shovel, and now you get the shovel and I get the power bracelet. Can we just cut out the middleman here? All I needed was that bracelet. In any case, we're going to go back to the cave where we found the flippers. We'll be able to swim to the upper left corner, and then we'll use the power bracelet to pick up the rocks that are blocking the pool over there. We'll also need to take this path because we don't have the feather to hop over the holes. So just swim around those blocks and then press the B button to dive. That will bring you to this side-scrolling area. It should probably be noted that anytime you see a suspicious-looking pool of water, that may be a good place to use your dive technique. You can also dive to avoid enemies while you're swimming. Pick up a rock over here. The developers wanted to be absolutely sure that you had the power bracelet, and then talk to this Tokay, who will finally return our seed satchel. We really needed this. And good news, the satchel still has seeds in it, so we can take it right back to the Tokay King. When we drop down here, we crushed our little plant, So we'll move it back in place. Probably should have waited to do that until now. And then we're going to head back to the chief. We don't have the scent seeds yet, so we can't buy the power bracelet or secure all 3 of our items, but we do have mystery seeds, and he will trade us the Rock's Feather for those. Trade the chief 10 mystery seeds to get back your Rock's Feather. And don't worry about getting the shovel right now. We want the feather and the bracelet. Those are the items that we're going to need before we can get our next item, which is the Harp of Ages. So we'll head down here, we'll hop over to the left. If you don't want to use the feather, you could go up one screen and use the power bracelet to go to the left, but this is the cave that we were looking for. Inside, we're going to use our power bracelet to pick up a clay pot, and then we'll go down the stairs, which will bring us to this side-scrolling area that we will need the Rock's Feather to complete. Swim all the way over to the left where you'll find a ladder, climb up that ladder, and drop down onto the moving platform, and then you'll need to use your feather to hop over to the right, and then hop up here. Jump one more time and climb the ladder. And when you get out on the other side, you'll find some clay pots that you may be able to harvest some items from, but we want to go out through this door. Once we emerge from the cave, we'll find a Tokay that has the Harp of Ages. That is a very important artifact, man. I hope you were careful with it. It's not like the fate of the world hangs in the balance here, no big deal. So we'll just pick up a pot and head over to the right, and if you've been walking around the island for a while, you should have a good idea of where the time tile is. It's over on the east coast. So head up here and then play the Tune of Echoes to warp forward to the present. There are a few things to see on this island back in modern times, but our primary objective is to get the scent seeds, because we need to get all of our items back except for the shield before we will be able to get into level 3. If you enter this tent, you'll notice there are some adult cuckoos, and if you've played other Zelda games, you may recall that if you beat up one of these chickens, eventually a wave of violent chickens will come to punish you, and that is something you can do in this game as well. But you know what they say, you mess with the birds, you get the beaks. Nothing I can do about that. Down here in the lower right corner of the island, we'll find a Tokay that is trying to cook for his friends, but his nose is stuffed up. Well, it looks like we finally found someone to give the stink bag to, and he will be quite happy to have it. After bouncing around the room, the Tokay chef is so happy to have the stink bag that he insists on keeping it and trades us the tasty meat for our troubles. Well, you do drive a hard bargain there, friend, but no takebacks. We'll need the tasty meat to trade for our next item, and don't worry about losing the stink bag. That's a smell that stays with you forever. With that bit of business taken care of, you may remember that we moved a small seedling up against this wall in the past, and now we can climb up the vines to get over to this area. What does that lead to, you may ask? Well, down here we'll be able to climb some more vines, and if we pick up a rock, we'll find some soft soil where we can plant a Gosha seed. I know it's hard to get excited about soft soil locations, but the Gosha nuts that you can grow here on Crescent Island are some of the best in the game and will give you higher level rings than usual, although the very best Gosha spot in the game, or the one that yields the highest level items at least, is located in the past version of Crescent Island. So if you're interested in getting some of the most powerful rings or the heart container piece, you'll definitely want to look for that one. Down here, we'll walk past the entrance to level 3, and if we head up the vines and then continue over to the right, that will bring us to the location of the scent tree and we'll be able to grab some new seeds. Scent seeds are kind of like monster bait. If you drop one on the ground, they'll attract certain types of monsters, but we won't use them that way very often. Most often, I would say that we'll use the scent seeds as ammo for the seed shooter once we get it. Inside this cave, we'll find the Wild Tokay Museum, which is a strange tribute to the minigame that we played earlier. The Tokay here are fake other than the shop owner, and there's really not much to see there. At this point, we just need to warp back to the past so that we can trade the scent seeds that we just got to the Tokay chief for our shovel. And then we'll have everything back except for the shield. You can go back into the chief's hut to get the shield, but you'll need more scent seeds to buy it. Unfortunately, we don't have enough scent seeds right now to buy both the shield and the shovel. So trade him the power bracelet for the shovel, then trade him the seeds for the power bracelet, and we will have cleaned this guy out. We'll be able to come back later to get the shield, so it's not a big deal if we don't buy it right now. With that last purchase, we finally have enough items to get into level 3. So how do we do it? Well, we want to head back through the cave that took us to the Harp of Ages. So we're going to go into this cave right here. We'll pick up one of the pots so that we can go down the stairs, and we're just going to pass through this side-scrolling area the same way that we did before. You'll need to use your Roc's Feather, and you'll need to swim all the way over to the left, climb up the ladder, drop onto the moving platform, and then hop over to the right. Hop up and then hop over again, and then make your way up the ladder. You can pick up some of these pots if you need supplies, but I think we're doing well right now, so just head up and over to the left and then down, and this is why we needed the shovel. So shovel that out of the way, and then play the Tune of Echoes on this time tile to warp back to the present. Over here on the west side of the island, we'll be able to simply walk into level 3, but if you're low on health, you can head into this cave first where you'll find a fairy fountain. The fairy will restore any health that you've lost. But we're doing quite okay right now, so we're just going to equip our sword and our Roc's Feather. We'll chop through these crabs, and we're just going to work our way up the coast. You don't want to go into the water here, that's ocean water, and we are unable to swim in that with just the flippers. And there it is, level 3, the Moonlit Grotto. I had mentioned before that there's a way to shortcut getting your items back, and one way to do that is by using the Expert's Ring. If you bring the Expert's Ring with you, you can actually punch through these crystals, and you can get your sword back without getting the shovel first. If you get the sword before you get the shovel, whenever you meet the Tokay chief, the game assumes that you have the shovel already, which will allow you to get one of the items here for free. So we don't have the shovel, but oh look, now we do. And we could potentially trade it for the power bracelet or for the Roc's Feather. The Expert's Ring is one that you'll get randomly from a gacha tree, and while it is possible to get it on your first run through Oracle of Ages, it's much easier to just bring one over in a linked game if you found it in Oracle of Seasons. Also, if you're playing a linked game, whenever you do go to collect the shovel, you'll notice that instead of a Tokay, it's Rosa that has it. She recognized that this shovel belonged to us and scared away the Tokay that had taken it. I have a lot of questions about how Rosa happened to end up here. She tells us that she's taking a trip, but how did she end up 400 years in the past? She says the theme is the independent woman, so we won't be able to take her on another date right now. Even if you don't have the Expert's Ring, there's another shortcut you can use to get your items back. You'll need to follow the normal steps to get the bombs, then equip them to B. Initiate a trade with the Tokay Chief, and when you get to the last text box of the exchange, press right to close it and then quickly press B to pick up a bomb. If you do it correctly, you'll pick up a bomb and you'll create a duplicate of the item, and you can see there's a shovel right in front of the power bracelet that we made. Now we're going to do the same thing to duplicate the Rock's Feather, and once you have a feather and a shovel in front of the two items on screen, head around and pick up the power bracelet. We're just doing a normal exchange here. Now trade back so that you actually have the power bracelet. Then we're going to go and collect the shovel that we created and the feather that we created. There you go. We got all three items in just a few seconds. Now that you know those tricks, it's time to tackle this dungeon. Here in the entryway, if you need some supplies, you can chop these bushes. You'll be able to find a few hearts as well as some seeds and bombs. And we're going to need some bombs right here, so push this block aside and then drop a bomb on the cracked block so that we can head over here to the left. In this room, the bouncing rabbit head enemies are called Poe's Voice, and you won't be able to damage them with your sword. You could hurt them with your bombs, but the better way is to just play your harp. This will clear all the Poe's Voice in the room instantly. You see, Poe's Voice hate loud noises, which is a throwback to the original Legend of Zelda. That was mentioned in the instruction manual, and although there was no way to use music against the Poe's Voice in the NES game, if you were playing on the Famicom, you can actually yell into a speaker on the controller to clear them. Once you have the dungeon map, head back to the entryway, and this time we're going to head up. In this room, take out the mini Moldrums. You might want to use a charge attack with your sword, and once you clear them both, you'll see that the door on the right has opened. This room has a mysterious blue crystal that we can smash with our sword. Whenever we do, it says that something was knocked loose, but whenever we use a mystery seed on this owl statue, we'll find out that we actually need to destroy 4 crystals to have the effect that we want. These enemies in this room can only be damaged from behind, but you don't need to clear them right now. Just head to this room and go through this rotating dial. It will move you to the right. Here we see a second one of those blue crystals. We'll need to get to it by using bombs. Drop one here, and then we can toss another bomb across to the left. Over here we can throw another bomb down, and you'll notice that the bomb does not destroy the blue crystal. If you need more supplies, you can chop the bushes in the lower corner, then just push this block out of the way and slash the crystal. But that's not the only thing we need to do here. Push that block and then you'll be able to move this green statue. You want to move it into formation with the other 3 statues, just like this, and a key will appear. We're definitely going to need that. From here, we're going to head back to the dial room. This time it's moving us clockwise, so we'll need to go back through the room that we were in previously and head over here. This is where we needed the key. If we hop into this pit, we'll fall down to the basement. This is where we need to go next. Watch out for these enemies, but you don't actually need to clear them. Over here on the right, you'll notice that we can't go any farther, but we will be able to after we destroy all 4 crystals upstairs. For now, we want to head down here. In this room, we want to clear this enemy using our sword, so just choppity chop chop, and that will open the doors. Here in this room, we have 2 more Poe's Voice, so we know how to defeat these guys. Just play a little bit of music and they will be history. Now we can grab those bombs, and if you need any more supplies, you can chop these bushes in the lower left. Now this time we're going to have to get a little bit more creative to clear the enemy, but before that, let's head up the stairs. In this room we'll find our third blue crystal, slash it, and then go back downstairs. To clear the mini Moldrum this time, we're going to need to toss bombs at it. So you'll want to pick up a bomb and just kind of hold up as you throw it into the area. There should be a wide enough explosion that you won't miss. That will open this door, and then we'll be able to head down here, where if you pick up a bomb and then run over to the left and toss it, it should time up just precisely enough to hit that switch. That will make the Arma statue move, and if you destroy it with another bomb, we'll find a chest that contains the compass. So that's handy to have. We'll head upstairs, and from here we want to go over to the left. Don't drop off that ledge. You'll need to go all the way back around if you do. Push the 3 blocks in this room to match the ones at the bottom, and you'll get another small key. Now we can drop down here. This is going to take us back to the entryway, so we'll drop a bomb up here, push the block out of the way, and we'll head back up into this room where there once was a locked door, but there's not anymore, so we can simply pass through. We don't need to go back to the basement at this point, so we want to go through the rotating dial. That will take us down here, and then we just need to loop back around. We're trying to manipulate that rotating dial so that it will take us to a different location. And you'll see when we go back through this time, it will go clockwise and we'll be able to come up here. Don't get caught by the likes. This room has the 4th crystal that we were looking for, but right now we won't be able to hit it. The owl tells us that stone soldiers don't fear swords, and that's a clue about what to do in this room. There's a key in here, and I recommend that you drop a bomb on this Arma statue and then immediately walk up to the button. If you time it correctly, you'll be able to get a free hit. The other 3, well, you'll have to toss bombs at them and try to carefully land them where they'll explode near the statues. It can be tricky to do, but at least if you get that first one out of the way, you'll only have to do 3 more. Once you have the key, we're going to take it to this room, and here you can get a few more supplies down in the lower left. We could certainly use more scent seeds so that we can get our shield back later. Up here, we used a key to get into this room, and then we just want to stay in the corner and rapidly slash our sword to get rid of these tiles. It's good to get rid of those gel enemies first because they can get in the way, but as long as you stay here and slash quickly enough, the floor tiles should not be able to get you. And there might be one more. You'll know that they're done whenever the doors open. We're just going to chop our way down through these bushes. Some of them are actually enemies, so be careful of that. And we're just going to loop back around this way. In the center of this room, there's a treasure chest that contains 30 rupees, so if you want to grab it, just drop down here, pick up the chest, and then we're going to walk back the same way that we came so that we don't have to deal with any more of those enemies in the bushes, and we'll use our last key on the locked door. In this room, you'll find some enemies that mimic your movement, so you want to hold your sword out and charge it up, and then move yourself so that you're right near those enemies and can quickly clear them with a spin attack. Then finish the remaining enemies to find the Seed Shooter. The Seed Shooter is a great new weapon. You'll load it up with one of the seed types that you have, and then you can fire it in 8 different directions. Also, if the seed hits a wall, it will bounce off. You'll need to wait until the seed stops bouncing before you can shoot another one, so keep that in mind, but the Seed Shooter is a very useful item. Once you have it, head down here, and we need to loop through this dial 2 times so that we can go through the north exit in that room. And that's where we're going to find that last blue crystal. Assuming that you've already gotten rid of the other 3, we'll be able to use the seed shooter to break it. So watch out for the likes, and you just need to stand right here. Hold down the button and you'll be able to adjust your angle and just point it towards the crystal to break it. This time we actually destroyed all 4 crystals, so something heavy fell down below, and that something heavy is the rotating dial. You'll notice that it was replaced with a chest containing a Gasha seed now, and whenever we go down to the basement, it will be in the room over here to the right. The rotating dial being down here opens up a lot of rooms that we weren't able to reach before, including this one. In here, you'll want to clear out the enemies. Remember, you need to hit them from behind, and then you can push all 3 blocks over here on the right side. That'll give you some room to work with because we need to use our seed shooter loaded with Ember Seeds to light these 2 lanterns. Whenever you do that, you'll find a Gasha seed. You may have been hoping for something a little bit more exciting, but the real reason we went down here is so we can manipulate that rotating dial. Whenever we loop around back to that room, this time it's going to take us in a clockwise direction, so we'll be able to exit through the top. If you're low on health or bombs, you should chop the bushes in this room so that you can replenish your supplies. We'll want to equip our shovel before we go into the next room, because we're about to face a mini-boss, the Sub-Terror. This fool proudly boasts that he can't be damaged while he's underground, so yeah, we just have to dig him up with a shovel and we'll be able to pummel him with our sword. So look for the little lump in the ground, get him with the shovel, and as soon as he's above ground, hit him quickly with your sword. It shouldn't take too much to take this guy out, he is not very difficult. Defeating this boss does 2 things. It opens up this room on the left where we can find a small key, so clear out the enemies here and then push that conspicuous block in the lower right, just slide it over, and the key will fall from the sky. The key is important, but this also opens up a new path that we can use to go through the rotating dial, and this is how we're going to get to the room on the right side. So you want to go through the dial from the top, and then head to the upper left corner of this room. We haven't been in here yet. Slash this crystal ball to adjust the angle of that bumper, and if you need more ammo for your seed shooter, you can find some in the upper left. Now fire a seed at that bumper and it should hit the lever, which will open up the bridge. On the other side, you need to hit that lever again to make the bridge go down to the bottom, and down here we'll find a treasure chest containing some rupees. Not bad. Now we'll just use the key that we found earlier to open this door, and this is the room directly to the left of Sub-Terror. So we just need to hit this lever a few times so that we can get across the bridges, and that should loop us back around to where we were before. So go over this bridge, head up here, and you recognize this room. This is where we just got a small key. Push the block out of the way, go down, and go through this door on the right, and yep, here's Sub-Terror's room alright. But this time, when we go down through the rotating dial room, we'll be able to exit the room through the right side. We need to find the boss key, and to get it, we need to open the door in the upper right of this room. Stand on this button until the 2 bumpers are facing this direction, and while still standing on them, use your seed shooter and fire it at an angle to hit the lever. That sound means this room contains a key, and it's not just any key, it's the boss key. Just what we were looking for. We know exactly where to use the boss key, so if you want to chop these bushes for a few hearts, go for it, but we just want to head up through Subterror's room and then go up one more time, and the boss key door is over here on the left. You can grab some supplies in the bushes located up here near the boss door, and once you go through, it's time to face the Shadow Hag. The Shadow Hag will start out by turning into 4 black ovals, and you can just walk through the center of them and head over here to the left. Get down in the lower left corner and make sure your seed shooter is equipped. The boss should appear behind you, and you can hit it 2 or maybe even 3 times by reflecting a seed off of the wall back at it. Do not turn to face the boss. If you look at the boss, she will disappear, so the key is to use your reflected shots. Once the Shadow Hag has taken 6 hits, you'll be able to collect your heart container, and then we can get the Echoing Howl, our next Essence of Time. Collecting this Essence of Time will trigger an event that will finally allow us to get off of Crescent Island, because if you haven't noticed, we're sort of stuck here right now. As we exit the dungeon, we'll get a quick update on the progress of Ambi's tower. Hey, it looks like they're doing a really good job. Those guys are very tired and have been working for many hours, but hey, at least they're making some progress. I know that the tower being completed is supposed to be a bad thing, but I just feel for all those guys working on it and hope that they can finally get it done. The Maku tree says that terrible things are going to happen if we don't hurry, but maybe she forgot that we have the ability to travel through time? I don't think hurrying is actually the thing we really need to do. She also says that the next essence is located northwest of Lynna City, so that's where we'll need to go next. Up here, these 2 Tokay are about to eat this talking animal. We can't allow that, but they will trade him to us if we give them some Ember Seeds. Well, I guess we really have no choice. The Ember Seeds end up being maybe a little hotter than these guys were expecting, and they run off, leaving us alone. This red dinosaur is Dimitri, and he is the 3rd and final animal companion that we're going to meet. Dimitri can swim in water, even ocean water, and he can also eat enemies. Now, until we get the Gale Seeds, it won't be that easy to get back here to Crescent Island, so before we sail away, we should take care of a little bit of business. Back here in the past, if we go to the cave where we found our sword, there's a chest there that we haven't opened yet. So hack through the crystals, jump over the pit using the feather, and then just push these rocks out of the way to collect the chest. You can push this one into the hole and then that one up, and for our reward, we get a Gosha seed. Once you have it, you can chop through the crystals and make your way out of the cave. We did not pick up our shield earlier, so that's the other thing that we need to do here. We'll just cut right across the Scent Tree Nursery. So we'll go through these enemies and head over here to the right. And this should be the fastest way to get to the Tokay Chief, and he's the one that has the shield. So whenever we go back inside here, he'll tell us that he found a strange board, and if you trade him 10 Scent Seeds, which seems like a very good deal, we can get our shield back. Now, it's a little bit awkward, but the way this is set up, the only way we can get back to the upper left corner of the island, which is where Dimitri is in the present, we have to go through the cave that led us to the Harp of Ages, and then go over to the lower left corner where we'll find the other time tile, and that's where we can use our Harp of Ages. We can't use it over on the east coast of the island. That will not get us where we need to go. So we'll just make our way through this cave. There's really not an easier way to do it at this point. And we'll hop over to the ladder, and then we'll climb back up and go outside. So if you need any supplies, grab some from the pots, and then we're just going to go up here, over to the left and down, and that's where we'll find the time tile that we're looking for. Once we get back to the present and we're able to reunite with Dimitri, there's a few things that we may want to do before we go back to Lynna City. As soon as you go to the beach near Lynna City, Dimitri will leave you, so if you want to take advantage of his swimming ability, you need to do it now. So up here is Dimitri, and Lynna City is over to the left, but if we head over here to the right, we can go to the area where the Tokay Chief's tent was in the past. You can't get to it from the other side, but you can from up here, and you probably won't be surprised to find out that there's some soft soil here where you can plant a Gasha seed. So we'll drop off one of those Gasha seeds, and then we'll head back over to the left. If you try to venture too far away, Dimitri will stop you, so once you've planted the Gasha seed, we can head back here to the beach. Now, if you're playing a linked game, a special event will occur, and you'll meet Impa here in town. It seems that Zelda herself has come to Lynna Village, but she was captured by a red monster. I guess that is sort of on brand. At all other times in the game, the present version of the Black Tower is blocked off and you can't go inside, but for this special event, it happens to be open, and suddenly we can walk right in. So if you've ever wondered what was in this thing in the present, we're about to find out. The red monster that kidnapped Zelda turns out to be Vyre, a mini-boss that appears in both seasons and ages. He challenges Link to a game of Donkey Kong, so you'll want to equip your Rock's Feather, and you're going to climb the ladders and hop over the fireballs as you work your way to the top. So watch out for the fireballs. Unlike in real Donkey Kong, the fireballs won't instantly kill you, they just deal you some damage, which does make this a lot easier. Ride this platform over to the right, watch out for that fireball, and once you get to the gate, you will have won. So that's a fun little mini game. Many of the other mini games in this one are a little bit frustrating, but this one's a good time. Zelda gives us a ring as a way of saying thank you for rescuing her, but don't get any ideas, Zelda. I actually met someone here in Labrynna, and I know this is going to sound weird, but she's a tree. I love her beautiful foliage, and she loves the way that I exhale oxygen near her leaves. Zelda, of course, is not going to stand in the way of true love, so she gets down to business reminding us that only we can defeat Twin Rova and save the world. Impa seems to think that the only safe thing for them to do is to hide in Nehru's house, so if you ever want to check in on Zelda and Impa, you can meet them there. Also, the ring that you get for completing this short side quest is the Blue Joy Ring, and when equipped, that ring will double the effect of any small hearts you find. You can also get that ring by doing a similar quest in Oracle of Seasons. Alright, let's get back to our regular game. Down here near the beach, if we use our seed shooter in this cave to shoot an angled shot, we can hit that crystal ball, and that will open up a path that leads us back to Tingle. Tingle had mentioned before that we should return whenever we have more types of seeds, and now that we have scent seeds as part of our inventory, Tingle will give us a seed satchel upgrade. This will allow us to carry 50 of each seed, which is actually a very useful upgrade, so I would say it's worth the time to get it. With a nice big pocket full of seeds, we'll go on to the next part of our quest, And while the game doesn't make this very clear, this is the time when we will be choosing our animal companion, and this animal companion will stay with us until the end of the game and will continue to stay with us in a linked game. If you're interested in having Dimitri as your companion, you should purchase the strange flute in the shop. That's all you need to do. If you'd prefer to have Ricky, you need to go back to the past and turn in a half-decent score at the target game in Lynna Village. If you want Moosh to be your companion, you don't have to do anything. Moosh is sort of the default. Before we make such a critical decision, we can also continue the item trading quest. We got some tasty meat from the Tokay chef on Crescent Island, and if we bring it to the owner of this mask shop, he would be very happy to trade us for a doggy mask. Now, a mask for a dog doesn't seem like it would be a very good seller, so he's probably just trying to get rid of it. But we've already met someone that wants a dog mask, so we know what to do with this. Mamamoo Yan, the self-proclaimed top breeder of Lynna City, has been desperately searching for some sort of accessory that her shy dog can use to hide its face. And well, we have just the thing. So we'll head over to her small house, and when we talk to her, she will be overjoyed whenever we trade the doggy mask. Look at all of those exclamation points. It would be kind of cruel not to give her the doggy mask. For our troubles, we'll receive a single dumbbell. We kind of point out that there's supposed to be 2 to make a set, but she says there was only 1 to begin with. Well, I guess we'll have to take her word for it. So now, in addition to a dozen other items, we need to carry around a 20-pound dumbbell. It makes me almost want the stink bag back. Up here, we can use our seed shooter with the Ember Seeds to shoot through that small sapling, and then we can hit the lever to open up the bridge. We did clear a lot of enemies in the last dungeon, so I'm not surprised that we're about to meet Maple. Whenever she appears on a screen like this, I like to try to clear out some of the bushes and flowers to make it easier to pick up the items once we bump into Maple, but it doesn't look like she dropped anything particularly good this time. Use your sword to reach out and grab the items. You can also use your feather now that we have it to get a small advantage. Once Maple has flown away, we can get back to what we were doing before. And over here to the left, we'll meet a green enemy called a Buzz Blob. If you hit the Buzz Blob with your sword, you'll get electrocuted, but if you shoot it with a mystery seed, it will transform into this Chukmon, and this guy you can actually talk to. It can still damage you, but whenever you talk to him, he wants to go on vacation and would prefer to go somewhere tropical. Maybe this guy is just cold. Well, if you need some heat, I think I got the thing for you, and... oh. Nope, Ember Seeds just fried that guy. But if you want to have a little bit of a conversation with an enemy, a Chukmon will do that for you. Now, be warned, as soon as you walk into this area, you will have committed to which animal companion you're going to have for the rest of the game. You'll notice that the Noon Highlands look different depending on which animal companion that is. Because we don't have the strange flute from the store and we didn't get a different flute from the target game, there's a bunch of potholes in the ground, and that's because we have chosen Moosh by default. You need to talk to the man by the unfinished bridge. He says that his workers are on break, and as soon as you walk back over here, one of the mischievous fairies from the fairies' woods will appear. It seems that their little mix-up the forest game has backfired, and now Moosh is trapped in the forest and can't get out. If you've chosen one of the other animal companions, that animal will be the one trapped in the fairy woods instead. So it doesn't matter which animal you've chosen, this will play out the same way, and we just want to head down here and to the left. We can grab a couple of hearts from these bushes, and once you get into the fairies' woods, well, you'll know you're on the right track. We'll head down this way past where level 2 was, and you can walk around that dungeon, and that will take you here. Now you just need to go up and down a few times, and there's Moosh. It's really that simple. As soon as we talk to Moosh, one of the fairies appears and teleports us to the edge of the forest. So why couldn't they have done that before? It doesn't seem like they really needed our help. Moosh is very thankful that we rescued him, so he gives us the Moosh flute, which will allow us to summon him whenever we want to, assuming that we're in the overworld and assuming we're not in some of the places that Moosh can't go to, which are numerous. So yeah, it is a little bit limited, but it is nice to have made a new friend. For now though, we don't need to use Moosh's flute at all. We can just ride him to where we need to go. It's not very far away. So we're just gonna moosh our way back to the incomplete bridge. We'll go up the stairs and head over here to the right. We do need to talk to the man near the bridge again to activate the challenge. So jump over those pits using Moosh and you'll have to dismount before you can talk to this guy. The employees of the bridge company have been on an extended break, and it's going to be up to us to round them up. We'll need the help of Moosh to get over all of the pits in this area, so talk to this guy and then hop back on the bear. This challenge is very different depending on which animal companion you brought with you, but don't worry, we are going to do it with all three. The first guy that we're looking for is over here, so you'll want to hop over these pits and then curve around to this side, chop through the bushes and then get back onto Moosh. And over here we can find a cave, and inside the cave we'll find a ring. This is the light ring level 1, and although it doesn't do anything right now, whenever we get the level 2 sword or better, the light ring level 1 will allow us to fire sword beams even if we don't have completely full health. The light ring level 1 is also an exclusive ring that can only be found in Oracle of Ages, and although the cave is located in a slightly different location depending on which animal companion you chose, you'll always be able to find it somewhere in this region. After chatting with the first of the workers, we're going to head back the way we came, and this time we're going to go up here. So make sure to rapidly tap A to get over those pits, and here is the second worker that we were looking for. There's only one more. To find the last guy, we're going to go up along this path, hop over these holes, and this will take us to the upper area. In this zone, we'll find a cave that contains a fairy fountain. So we can refill our health. We were down a couple of hearts, and it doesn't matter which animal companion you have, there should be a fairy fountain here somewhere. And there's the last guy we were looking for. We'll want to go around these pits, and after we talk to him, we'll be instantly teleported back to the bridge, so we won't have to walk there. Now that everyone's back, the boss says there will be no more breaks until the bridge is done, but the good news is it only takes them a few seconds to complete it. Yeah, that was easy. This bridge will take us on to Symmetry City, and good news, that's where level 4 is located. The workers run off to the next job and we're finally able to cross the bridge. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go directly into level 4. We'll still need to do some things here in Symmetry City first. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about the other animal companions. If you purchase the strange flute for 150 rupees from the shop in town, you will be choosing Dimitri as your companion. If you need money, just use your shovel and start digging in a field. You'll notice that this time Dimitri is the one that's trapped in the fairy's woods, and you will get Dimitri's flute that will allow you to summon him wherever you want. Just like Moosh's flute, Dimitri's flute has a number of limitations. Dimitri will allow us to swim in ocean water, and he will allow us to go up waterfalls. Later on in the game, we'll get an item that will let us swim in ocean water without Dimitri, but I do think that he is one of the more useful animal companions. Let's take a look at the Bridge Worker Challenge. You'll notice right away that the Noon Highlands look very different when we're playing as Dimitri. They're completely flooded. Over here, we'll find the first of the 3 workers. He's just over in the right corner. There's a waterfall here, and if you swim to the top of it, Dimitri will enter this cave with you. And although the cave looks different than the one on Moosh's route, this treasure chest in the upper left corner contains a ring, and it's the same light ring level 1 that we found before. You definitely do not want to miss this ring if you're trying to collect them all. Head back outside, and then we'll go down the waterfall and up on the right side. At the top of this waterfall, we'll find the second worker. Well, that was easy. Once we're done talking to this guy, we'll go down 2 screens, and that will take us to the bottom of this area, and then we're just going to go left, and we'll go up this waterfall, and at the top, we will find the third and final worker. That's it. Now let's talk about Ricky. If you prefer Ricky the Kangaroo, you need to go to Lynna Village in the past and play the target game. You don't really need a whole lot of points. I think you might only need 50. It seems like this guy just wants to get rid of this prize. The special prize is a strange flute, and although it looks the same as the one that we used to get Dimitri, it's actually different because now you'll notice that Ricky is the one that's trapped in the fairy's woods, and the strange flute will turn into Ricky's flute after you rescue him. Ricky has his own special challenge for us to complete up in the Noon Highlands, and that area that we were just exploring will look different once again. The new area has a bunch of flowers in it and also a bunch of ledges that only Ricky can jump up. And there's where we get the Ricky's flute, and from here we're just going to head on back to the Noon Highlands. Remember to talk to this guy to enable the challenge, and then we'll ride Ricky over here to the right. There's the first guy we were looking for, and Ricky is very good against enemies, so you can just give them a punch. Even the buzz blobs can be destroyed, and he can also rip right through flowers and bushes. Now that we've talked to the first guy, we'll head back down here, and we'll hop down off the ledge and go up this way. The area up here looks sorta similar to how it did whenever we were riding with Moosh, and you'll notice that that's the cave for the fairy's fountain, but we're doing pretty good on health, so we don't need to go in there right now. The second worker is located down here near this ledge. There's only one more worker to find, and we also want to pick up that level 1 light ring, and we can do both of those things over here. So we'll hop down this way, make sure you're on the far right side, and we'll go through these bushes, punch, 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 and then we can punch through a few more bushes, and on the other side we'll hop up this ledge, and this is the cave that has the light ring level 1. Ricky won't be able to go in there with you, so just dismount and go inside, and then head back outside where we can hop up to where the third and final worker is. And that is how to get all 3 animal companions and how to get them through to Symmetry City. Now, the Symmetry City here in modern times is in bad shape and is mostly abandoned, but if we head over here, we can find a time tile that we can use to get back to the past, and we can also find a tree that has a new type of seeds called Gale Seeds. The Gale Seeds are essentially a fast travel mechanic, and if we use one, we'll be able to teleport to any place on the map that has one of these seed-bearing trees, assuming that we've been there before. There's not much to see here in the present, so we'll play the Tune of Echoes on this time tile and head back to the past. Symmetry City of the past has a large building where the Gale Seed tree is in the future. Inside, a woman tells us that the city's sacred Tuni Nut has been broken. She doesn't say how the Tuni Nut got broken, she just vaguely explains that it's somehow related to the Black Tower. Kinda makes me think that maybe she broke it by accident. But in any case, she says that now the city has been thrown out of balance, which has caused the volcano to erupt, and if the Tuni Nut doesn't get repaired, the city will be destroyed by the eruptions. We definitely know that's true. We've seen this place in the future. The woman on the left tells us that a guy named Patch at the top of the restoration wall could potentially fix the Tuni Nut, so I guess that's what we'll have to do next. Before we go there though, if we head up these stairs, we'll meet a man with an impressive looking mustache that really feels like he needs to work out. Unfortunately, he only has 1 dumbbell, and because of the rules of Symmetry City, he can't work 1 arm at a time. Well, do we have the thing for you, buddy? Yep, this guy definitely needs the dumbbell that we got from Mamamoo Yan. He's so excited to receive the dumbbell that he rips off his own mustache and gives it to us. I mean, ouch? He says he wants to get the girls and starts working out like a maniac, so I guess we'll have to look for someone that's interested in a real human mustache. Before we can leave the city, we do need to get the Tuni Nut, and to find it, we'll want to talk to the villagers. The 2 kids that live in the lower part of the village are not that important to talk to. They do have some clues that might be helpful, but you need to talk to both men that live in the upper corners of the city. It doesn't matter which one you talk to first, you have to talk to one of them, then talk to the other to get the Tuni Nut. It just makes sense to talk to the one in the upper right first, so we'll do that, and then we'll head over here to the left, and when we talk to this guy, he will happily hand over the Tuni Nut so that we can take care of his problems. He says that he can't leave because the symmetry will be thrown off, but I hate to tell you, man, without the Tuni Nut, this place is already about to be destroyed by a volcanic eruption, so I don't think it would be that big of a deal if you ignored the rules just this once. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if he walked outside, the entire city would immediately implode. So I guess we can't risk it, and we will take the Tuni Nut to the top of the restoration wall so that Patch can repair it. Now that we have the Tuni Nut, we can leave town, but before we go, we'll talk to this kid and see if he has any clues for us. He says that sometimes he hears music coming down from the mountaintop, and that's actually a very important clue, because we can't actually make it to the restoration wall right now with what we have. If you head over here, you'll find an owl statue that also has a clue for us. The owl says that time's flow can change the land, a fact that we are brutally aware of at this point. Whenever we use the time tile near the owl, we'll end up in an area that's a dead end. This is not the way that we need to go, so we'll head back to the past. Whenever we get there, we'll suddenly run into Ralph. Ralph tells us that he's looking for an old hermit who's studying tunes in this area, and says that he's looking for this guy because somehow he can offer a clue that will help save Nehru. Well, I'm not sure if he'll be able to help you out, Ralph, but that's the guy that we are certainly looking for. So we're going to make our way over here and we'll climb up these stairs. And we just want to go all the way to the top here. So if you head over here to the left, we can sort of fill out the map a little bit. But this is what we were looking for. Not this over here, there's nothing that we need on that screen right now, but we want to swim to that conspicuous bit of water in the corner, and if you dive, you'll find this side-scrolling area. Chop through the fishes and make your way to the ladder on the far right side. Whenever you get to the top of it, we'll meet Toki, the time travel musician. This guy's trying to figure out a song that can take him forward in time, because reasons, but he's reached a roadblock in his research. If only he knew another time travel song that he could base his on. And so if you play the Tune of Echoes on this square directly in front of him, he will become inspired. He also says, "That's the Tune of Echoes," like he's heard of it before. I mean, if you already knew the Tune of Echoes guy, what did you need my help for? After bouncing around on the counter like a coyote ugly dancer and spouting off many a musical note, Toki will finally grant us the Tune of Currents, which is a nice upgrade for our Harp of Ages. Whenever we play the Tune of Currents in the past, we'll be able to warp forward to the future without using a time tile. Using this new tune, we'll be able to reach many locations that we haven't been able to get to before, but it does only work in one direction. You can only use it to go from the past to the present. You can't just play it somewhere in the present to go to the past. You'll still need a time tile to do that. There's nothing more to see at Toki's place, so once you have the Tune of Currents, head back through the side-scrolling area and exit in the upper left. The first thing that we're going to do with our new Tune of Currents is to head down to the screen below this one and go all the way to the bottom. If we equip the Tune of Currents and play it down there, we'll be able to warp to the present where we'll be able to collect a heart container piece. So we'll use that Tune of Currents and make sure you're standing all the way down here in roughly this area. And you'll see whenever we emerge from the time portal, there is the piece of heart we were looking for. If we want to go back to the past, there's some swirling stars wherever we came from, and if you just step back onto those, you'll automatically be taken back to where you came from. Back here in the past, we're going to head down and over to the left, and you'll remember this area with the statue. This time we want to head down to the bottom and play the Tune of Currents down here in the lower left corner. If you ever play the Tune of Currents in the wrong spot and you end up standing on top of a rock or something like that, you'll be automatically sent back to the past, so it's not really that big of a deal. It just sort of wastes time. Once you get here to the present, we're going to work our way around to this area, chop through the enemies, look out for that guy, and head down here to the left. The restoration wall that we need to find is in the past, not the present, so we're going to need to find a time tile so that we can get back to an older time. Up here, we'll find just that. If we pick up this rock with the power bracelet, underneath it is a time tile, and we'll need to use the Tune of Echoes this time, not the Tune of Currents, to activate it. Back in the past, there's going to be a large cave directly behind us, and that's where we want to go inside. In here, we'll take the stairs to the top. There's 2 exits here, but we want the one on the right side because we're just going to push this red object, and that will change the flow of this river. I imagine that might have devastating effects on the local ecosystem, but it's something we'll need to do to finish the game. Down here, you'll notice that the area to the left is dry, and if we play the Tune of Currents now, we'll be able to warp back to the present and make sure that that plant is in front of the wall over here on the left, so that there will be vines for us to climb when we get there. Up at the top, we're going to find a dry area with a tiny pond near it. There's a sign that says not to throw anything in the water, but we are definitely not going to listen to that rule. Toss a bomb in there, and a fairy will appear. The fairy asks which type of bomb you threw in here, and you want to be honest and say a regular one. And if you do, you'll get an upgrade that will allow you to carry 30 bombs. If you lie, you'll be dealt a bunch of damage and you'll get nothing. Good day, sir. Once you have the bomb upgrade, climb back down the vines and go through the star portal back to the past. We want to push this plant over to the wall on the right side, so push it over to the clearly marked area, and then we're going to use the Tune of Currents again to warp back to the present, but this time the vines will be on the right wall instead of the left. Back in our present time, we're going to climb up these vines, and once we get to the top, we're going to head over to the right, and this time we're going to take the exit in the upper right corner of the screen. Over here, we can charge up our sword to quickly get through these enemies, and we're going to continue up and to the left. Down this way, we'll find another time tile, and they didn't even bother to hide it this time. Play your Tune of Echoes to go back to the past, and now we'll finally be able to reach the restoration wall, but there is one more thing we can pick up along the way. So we'll head back up this way, and then down, avoiding these enemies. You can kill them if you want to, but you don't have to. And when you get down to the bottom of this screen, we're going to have to swim over here to the left, and then we'll go down again. From here, we're going to head over to the right, and then we'll be very close to the restoration wall, but if we play the Tune of Currents right here, we can find a Gosha seed. We've actually walked by this treasure chest a number of times, so you've probably been wondering how to get it, and it's this one right here near the entrance to the Fairy's Woods. There's nothing really to see over here to the left, so once you have it, head back to the past. It's about time that we finally climbed that restoration wall so that we could fix the Tuni Nut. And here it is right here. It's a bunch of vines. You'll see that there are rocks falling from the top. Do your best to avoid those, and on this screen, make sure to go up through the middle path. If you go on the left or right sides, you'll reach a dead end. And this is what we were looking for. This guy's name is Patch. Patch has an interesting way of fixing things, and if we tell him that we want to try his restoration ceremony, he will excitedly run down the stairs. I guess we'll follow this guy. The restoration ceremony is dangerous, so you may want to get some hearts back by picking up the pots at the bottom of the screen. When we get downstairs, he asks us again if we want to participate in the ceremony, although we already agreed. This should definitely give us some pause. We just have to knock the hard hat beetles that spawn here into the holes at the corners, but when the minecart that's going around the room is about to hit the Tuni Nut, we need to make sure that we're standing on the button, or else we'll lose the challenge. There's a very easy way to do this. As soon as the challenge begins, head to this corner and push to the right. This will cause all of the beetles to gather in one place, and then you can quickly slash them into the hole. If you do it fast enough, the cart won't even get around to the Tuni Nut. Patch's trap, or ceremony, was able to fix our Tuni Nut, but we'll come back here later in the game to fix a broken sword, and it'll be a little bit more difficult the second time around. To get back to Symmetry City, all we need to do is head over to the right. We'll be able to drop off this small ledge, and that will take us right back to town. Easy. Quickly bring the Tuni Nut back to the center of the village. Will we have time to save Symmetry City? Alright, we'll take it right up here to this pedestal. And that's it. We've done it. We've restored the balance. Now the volcano won't destroy Symmetry City, and we'll be able to get into level 4 in the present. Outside, everything feels so much more calm. The volcano is still spewing lava, so if we want to go inside, we'll have to use the Tune of Currents to go back to the present. Before we go into level 4 though, as soon as we get back to the present time, we'll notice that the city is very different than it was before. Let's explore a bit. This is all optional, of course, but it is nice to see that the people here are carrying on the traditions of Symmetry City and making sure that everything stays in balance. Because that's the way here in Symmetry City. Perfect balance is the law of the land. I also like how the grass is neatly mowed so that the yellow and the green grass are symmetrical. I'm sure that's not easy to do. And here in the upper right, this kid is much larger than the other kid that he's trying to balance. So does he need to get smaller, or does the other guy need to get bigger? And is it a problem? Well, it doesn't really matter to us. We've made it to level 4, the Skull Dungeon. We're going to start out level 4 by going up from the entrance and then heading over here to the left. You'll find that many of the enemies in this area are vulnerable to the Ember Seeds, so you can fire at them from afar using the seed shooter. You'll need to clear all the enemies in that room to open the door, and then we can take out these 2 enemies with our seed shooter before we jump across the lava. Once those monsters are incinerated, we're going to equip our feather and hop across, then we'll exit up here. Watch out for this spark enemy. It does move along the wall, so it's very predictable, and just head over here. Thrash this enemy with your sword, then push the block at the front of this triangular formation to reveal the compass. Usually we get the map first, but it's the compass this time, and when we enter this room, that familiar tone means that there's a hidden key here. Hop over the lava with your feather and start pushing the cube. You want it to be on the black tile with the blue face up, and if it's blue when it's right there, you'll know that you've got it. And when we open the chest, we know it's a small key, and we're going to need that very soon. The locked door in question is just to the right of the room in front of the entrance, so we'll drop down here. We'll head back across this room, and it's this room that we need to take the right path through. And whenever we get to the room to the right of this one, there's a locked door at the top. We'll use our feather to hop down this way, and then after a few more hops, we'll get to the middle, and we'll need to push a block to get where we're going. So push this block right here, then hop up and push another one, and that will clear the path to the door. There are only a few things that can get rid of that flashing anti-fairy, and one of them is the Gale Seeds. If you shoot it with a Gale Seed, it will be carried away, Although it's not permanently defeated, if you come back into this room later, you'll notice that that anti-fairy will be back. So it's kinda like knocking an enemy into a hole. Watch out for the gel near the door, and in this room we're going to flip the lever before we get into the minecart. That will take us over here where we can open a chest. This chest contains the dungeon map. If we press select to look at it, you'll notice that Skull Dungeon does take the shape of a skull, and there are 2 floors, but the lower floor is just the lower jaw of the skull and doesn't have as many rooms. In this room, we'll flip the lever again, and this time when we ride the minecart, we'll go through the door on the left side, and as we pass the lever in this room, flip it with your sword. But before we get back into the minecart, we want to use our seed shooter to hit that crystal ball. I like to use the Ember Seeds or Scent Seeds here just in case we keep hitting that enemy. Eventually we should be able to kill it. But as soon as you get a good shot off, you'll hit that switch and a chest will appear that contains a key. Pick it up and then hop back into the minecart. If you flip the lever before, the cart will stop in the upper left corner and we'll be able to disembark. We need to use that key that we just got to go through this locked door in the upper right corner. And then we'll follow the path along to the right. Watch out for the traps here. I do recommend clearing the enemies on the other side of the lava before going across. So we'll use our seed shooter to make that happen. And then we'll feather across the lava and head through the exit in the upper right. In this room, we'll need to use our power bracelet to pull on that bar, and when we pull it far enough, it will make the lava cool off, but only for a short amount of time. So I like to clear out as many of those bats as possible before I start pulling on the bar. Hurry around to the upper left corner. If you're not fast enough and you fall into the lava, you'll only take a little bit of damage, but you'll need to pull the bar and do it again. These gold Stoffos are very annoying. If you try to attack them with your sword, they'll jump away, but if you attack them at a distance with the seed shooter loaded with Ember Seeds, they are much easier to kill. If you have to use the sword, I recommend charging it up and doing a spin attack. Once they're all cleared out, the door on the left side will open and we'll be able to proceed onward. There's some hard hat beetles in this room, and if you attack them carefully, you can knock them into the lava, but they will come back if we enter that room again later. In this room, we need to recreate the pattern that you see on the right side. Use your Rock's Feather to jump over the colored tiles. That's how you'll change their color. I like to do these ones at the bottom first, and once I have the lower 2 rows, I just need to jump across this one at the top and turn it blue, and that will open the door on the left. In this room, we need to push a cube onto that black tile so that the blue faces up, and that will open the way for our minecart. You'll want to have the Rock's Feather equipped, and you need to push this one down to the next position, and then lure those traps out and quickly push it while standing on that cracked area. You don't want to stand on that cracked area long enough to fall in. From there, the rest of the puzzle is easy, and once you're riding the minecart, it will take you to the next part of the dungeon. There's a key that we need to get in the room over on the right, so that's where we're going to go first. Clear out these enemies so they're not in the way, and the game wants you to ride on that moving platform so that you can use your seed shooter to hit the switch, but it's actually possible to do it from right here. You sort of need to make sure that the switch is just on the screen to the right, and with a nice angled shot you can hit it. If you're having trouble doing that trick, try riding the platform, but it's really not that hard to do. Before we ride the next minecart, we need to head to this room first. Use the key that we just got to unlock the key block, and then hop over that colored tile until it turns blue. That will open the gate, and it will create a good path for our minecart to follow. Otherwise, you'll bounce off it and head backwards. So now we can ride on through, and that will take us down into this room where we'll want to equip our seed shooter because we need to clear all 3 of those Stalfos enemies before the door will open on the left side. If you don't get them all, you'll have to ride back around and shoot them again. In this room, you can pick up a clay pot and get a fairy if you need to get some health back, and then you'll want to equip your rock's feathers so that we can hop across these platforms. This one at the bottom is tricky sometimes, so just be patient and wait until it's in the right position, and then head down here. Once again, we have to match the pattern on the tiles, and this one on the far right needs to be red while the one next to it should be blue, just like that. And then we just need to change this one, and when we do, we'll be able to grab a small key. Using that small key, we can unlock another minecart. This minecart takes us all the way across the dungeon over near to an area where we'll fight the mini-boss. So just keep riding, it's not like you can get out of the cart anyways, and here's the end of the line. That Gibdo mummy enemy can be easily removed by using a Gale Seed, but once we head over here onto the left, it will be time to fight the Armos Warrior. For the first phase of this fight, you can't actually hurt the boss yourself. Instead, you need to get that sword that's flying around the room to bump into him. The boss itself won't go onto the yellow tiles at the perimeter of the room, so you want to stay out there and try to lure the sword to where it needs to go. The sword can definitely hit you on the perimeter of the room, so don't feel like you're totally safe out there. You just don't have to worry about bumping into the boss itself. So keep working your way around, try to stay close to the boss so that the sword will go your way, and eventually the shield will break. Now you're not safe on the perimeter anymore, but you can strike the boss with your weapon. Rapidly hit him with your sword and he will go down quickly. And that's it. The Armos Warrior is defeated. Down here we are very close to this dungeon's item, and to get it we need to go across this bridge, and over here on the right you'll find a conspicuous cracked wall that we can open with a bomb. So blow open that wall, and in this room we need to turn all of the blue tiles red. To do so, you need to walk around in a connected path, although you can go back and walk on the tiles that you've already turned red. We're going to stay up here at the top and loop around these statues, and you just don't want to end up backed into a corner. If you mess up, you can always exit the room and come back in. That will reset the tiles. And whenever you complete the puzzle properly, you'll get the switch hook. The switch hook is kinda like the hook shot from previous Zelda games, but instead of pulling you over to the thing that you grabbed onto, instead it causes you to switch places with it. You can even do this to some enemies, although smaller enemies will just be damaged by the hook. Most of the time you'll use your switch hook to swap with the diamond-shaped objects that you see in the dungeon, but sometimes you'll use it on clay pots as well. We'll hit that Gibdo with an Ember Seed, and you can see if you do, it turns into a gold Stalfos, so maybe that's not the best way of dealing with those mummies. You can use your switch hook through these yellow walls, so grapple onto the diamond over here on the right, and that will take us to a different part of the dungeon. In the room over here to the right, we'll use our switch hook to get across the lava, but then we'll use it again to make this diamond-shaped object sit on top of that button, which will keep the door open. We'll take this door and head over here to the right across this bridge, and then we'll continue to the right and then up. Follow the path along this ledge and eventually you'll come to some stairs which will bring us down to the basement. Head up through this room, and in here we're going to need to use the switch hook to grapple onto that diamond-shaped object, and then we'll get out of this area by switching over with the clay pot. Keep in mind that whenever you switch hook with the clay pot, it will get broken, so you cannot use the pot to depress this switch. Once that switch is pushed down with the diamond-shaped object, you'll be able to head down here, and we're going to go down these little stairs, and we'll need to use our switch hook to get across the lava. So switch hook over to one of these pots. You can move the pots out of the way with your hook, and then you want to switch over to that one, and then this one on the right. From here, we can go down into this disco room. We've seen a room like this before. Hop over the colored tile in the center of the room to change the color of the floor, and then quickly clear as many enemies as you can before they become camouflaged again. You won't be able to damage the enemies if they're the same color as the floor. Once they're all out of the way, the door on the left side will open, and we'll be able to head on through. Quickly cut across this room to the left, avoiding the traps, and we'll come to another one of those floor tile puzzles. This time I like to start by heading to the upper right corner and then back down. Work your way around these statues, and just like before, you don't want to back yourself into a corner, so think ahead about where you're going to need to move next. There are definitely multiple solutions to this puzzle, but I think that this one that sort of works around in a concentric circle seems to work best for me. So we'll just keep following around. Now we'll complete the upper part of the circle, and we're just sort of working around that yellow square in the middle. This time, whenever we clear the floor puzzle, we're just going to get a small key, but it will be essential for finishing this dungeon. And that's it, we got the chest. Once you have the key, you can exit through the top of this room. Believe it or not, this room is the one that has the boss door, but unfortunately we don't have the boss key just yet. We'll need to use our switch hook to get across here, and we can also use it to get rid of these keys, and then we'll get onto this platform where we'll ride down to the middle and we'll need to hop across the lava. Watch out for that hard shell beetle, but if you need to get some health back, you can find a fairy hidden in these clay pots. From here though, we need to go upstairs. In this side-scrolling area, we'll need to use both our Rock's Feather and our switch hook to get through, and I did want to show you that you can get crushed by a platform in this game, which will send you back to the starting of this area. At the top of the stairs, you'll see why we needed that last small key. Use it to get through the block and then switch hook over here to the left. We're going to need to pull on another one of those bars to cool off some lava, and then we'll have to hurry across it before it turns back into molten rock. So we'll pull on this, and as soon as it turns cool, quickly run over here to the left, using your Rock's Feather to jump occasionally. That'll make you a little bit faster. This one is actually easier, because after you pull the bar and everything cools off, you'll be able to start grabbing some of these pots, but as long as you don't end up in the lava, you can finish this using your switch hook. So just kind of wait until it turns back into lava, but make sure you're standing where one of the pots was, and then you can just switch hook across over to this area where a simple diagonal jump will get you up here. Here's where the boss key is, and this room is a bit of a puzzle. You want to use your switch hook to get down here and then use it on that pot to come up to this area. Make sure you push that one pot up to the top and then switch up to this one so that you can push this pot onto the button and then switch back over to the right. If you did it all correctly, you'll be able to grab the boss key and then we can drop down over here on the right. Follow this path around and it will take you back to the stairs. And once you get there, we'll just have to go through the side-scrolling area once again, and that will bring us out to where the boss door is. We're almost to the end of this dungeon. Down here, we'll get this hard-shelled beetle out of the way. We can just use our sword to push it into the lava. And then once there's no more enemies over here, we can pick up some of these clay pots to find a fairy and make sure we have full health before we go into the next room. You'll want to have your switch hook and sword equipped because this is Eyesore. Rapidly slash at the smaller eyes with your sword until you see an opening, and then grab the main boss with your switch hook. Slash it a few times with your sword and then switch hook it again, and keep doing that so that the main boss remains stunned. Eventually it will be defeated and we'll be able to grab the heart container, and in this room we'll be able to get our next essence of time, the Burning Flame. We still have 4 more essences to find, but unfortunately that's all the time we have in this episode. So make sure to join us next time where we'll take on the remaining dungeons and we'll finally put a stop to Varen's evil plan. Until then, thanks for watching.